Shenlang's one-night stand with Chiu Yaoer is about to be exposed. How will our poor Jean Mulan face this? At this moment, the sea ship carrying Shenlang and Huang Feng is about to arrive at the Radiant Valor County dock. Inside the cabin, Shenlang is very anxious. He is about to return home. He does not want Jean Mulan to know about his infidelity. At this moment, he desperately rehearses his facial expressions. When I see Jean Mulan later, I must not let her see any flaws. After getting off the ship, I need to hurry back to the carriage and change my clothes to cover the scars on my body. After a few days, when the bite marks on my body disappear, this matter will also pass. For his and Mulan's future happiness, Shenlang decides to bring out his lifetime acting skills to hide everything in front of Jean Mulan. In his opinion, as long as Jean Mulan is not saddened, this well-intentioned lie must be told. However, at the moment of approaching the dock, Shenlang was stunned. At this time, he saw Jean Mulan standing on the dock, anxiously waiting for the sea ship to dock. This is not a coincidence, but Jean Mulan, unable to restrain her inner worries, was preparing to board the ship to Furious Tide City to find Shenlang when he saw his husband returning safely. At that moment, all the grievances suppressed in her heart instantly filled her eyes. The next second, she ran forward and hugged Shenlang tightly. The worries and fears of many days can finally be put down at this moment. Although she does not know why Shenlang was dressed as a woman, as long as her husband can return safely, it is good. Shenlang looks at Jean Mulan in his arms. He had never thought that this always strong woman would shed tears for his safety, and at this moment, all the lies he had prepared earlier, he couldn't utter a single word. Baby, I'm sorry, I was with another woman. Hearing the words coming out of Shenlang's mouth, Jean Mulan stood frozen in place. Meanwhile, inside the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, Madame Jean had shed her luxurious clothes and changed into the vigorous attire of her youth. It's known that Madame Jean had high martial skills in her youth. Jean Mulan inherited her martial talent. If it weren't for the mythical Turtle Count being a doting husband, reluctant to let his wife get hurt, she might well have been a martial arts grandmaster by now. Now that her husband has gone to war for the family, she will not sit idly by. She will protect their home in her husband's stead. At this moment, a court carriage arrived outside the mythical Turtle Count's mansion. The visitor was the sovereign's confidant, Eunuch Wang. He spoke in a sissy tone. The sovereign decrees, mythical Turtle Count Jinjua, come forth to greet. However, as his words fell, the ones who came out from the main gate were Madame Jean in her vigorous attire and the young master Jean Mutsong. And this otaku was still immersed in the story, unable to extricate himself, his whole being in a state of distraction, so absorbed in copying that he was unaware of the ink all over his mouth and hands. Eunuch Wang was taken aback by their appearance, not to mention Madame Jin's attire. Just looking at Jean Mutsong, he showed a face of disdain. I had heard that the young master of the mythical Turtle Count's mansion was useless, but the fatty before me is simply an idiot. After a moment, Eunuch Wang steadied his emotions and spoke. Is the mythical Turtle Count's mansion disrespecting us? This is the sovereign's imperial edict. Why isn't the mythical Turtle Count here to receive it? Madame Jean hurriedly explained. My husband has gone to Cliffwatch Island and is not at home now. I hope you will not take offense, Eunuch. Upon hearing that the mythical Turtle Count had gone to Cliffwatch Island, Eunuch Wang's eyes widened. There are rumors everywhere now that there's a large gold mine on Cliffwatch Island. Now that even the mythical Turtle Count has personally gone to guard it, it seems this matter is confirmed. Realizing his slip of composure, Eunuch Wang hurriedly continued. Since the mythical Turtle Count is not here, I will not enter the mansion. Let the young master Jean Mutsong come forth to receive the decree. Madame Jean quickly knelt down. However, the clueless Jean Mutsong was still lost in thoughts about the subsequent story, completely unaware of what was happening. Seeing Jean Mutsong's lack of response, an irritated Eunuch Wang shouted into his ear in a high-pitched voice. Young master Jean Mutsong, do you dare to ignore me? Are you dissatisfied with me? Only then did Jean Mutsong snap back to reality, asking in confusion, what? Is it over? Seeing Jean Mutsong's bewildered look, Eunuch Wang also felt helpless. Why am I even bothering with an idiot? He then demanded Jean Mutsong kneel again to receive the decree. Seeing that he was supposed to receive the decree, Jean Mutsong panicked. Shouldn't I be invisible in everyone's eyes? Why am I receiving a decree with my brother-in-law not home? Should I even accept it? Madame Jean, seeing her son's foolishness, was nearly driven to rage, scolding sharply. Will you kneel down already? Hearing his mother's command, Jean Mutsong finally reacted and hurriedly knelt down. Eunuch Wang continued the decree. The sovereign orders that within 3 days, the young master of the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, Jean Mutsong, must go to the Imperial Academy for study. Without any delay, Jean Mutsong was bewildered. Why does the sovereign want me to study at the Imperial Academy? And within 3 days? Where is my brother-in-law? I need to ask him first. Jean Mutsong stood up, shakily taking the decree from Eunuch Wang's hands, thinking, should I pretend to be sick, delay for a few days, and wait for my brother-in-law to come back and decide? However, the next second, Eunuch Wang turned to him and said, young master, prepare yourself. Within 3 days, accompany me, and I will personally escort you to the capital. Jean Mutsong was shocked upon hearing this. What? Go with you? Without waiting for Jean Mutsong to retort, Eunuch Wang coldly said again, then, I will wait for you at the mythical Turtle Count's mansion. mansion. After saying this, he left with 4 guards, leaving the mythical turtle count's mansion. After they were gone, Jean Mutsung dared to ask his mother with a mournful face what to do. Madame Jean could only comfort her son. "Don't cry, your brother-in-law will be back soon. He will surely have a solution." At this moment, Shenlang's carriage was indeed rushing back to the mansion. Throughout the journey, Shenlang was holding Mulan, continuously apologizing to her. "Baby, I'm sorry, baby, your husband is truly wrong." Mulan, as if she had lost her soul, could not say a word, just blankly staring ahead. After a while, Mulan finally covered her face and began to cry loudly. The treasure she cherished was taken by someone else. She hated herself for not letting go of that damned pride earlier. Hearing Mulan's crying, the driver, Wang Feng, also sighed. It's good to cry it out, but the crying also made her heart flutter. "All men are no good. I will stay away from men in the future and never marry." Inside the carriage, Mulan pushed Shenlang down onto the seat, tears falling like broken pearls, unstoppably streaming from her eyes. Sobbing, she asked Shenlang, "Who is that woman? It's not Su Chanqian, is it?" Seeing Mulan's pain, Shenlang's heart was breaking, but he could only tell the truth to Mulan. "That woman is Qiu Yaoer." Mulan, trembling, asked him, "It must have been Qiu Yaoer who forced you, right?" "It must be so." In her heart, she always believed that she and her husband loved each other, and at this moment, she saw in Shenlang's eyes the deep love and guilt he felt for her. The next second, she kissed Shenlang's lips, feeling the tenderness of regaining what was lost. Then, she tore open Shenlang's clothes, seeing the scars on her body. Mulan once again confirmed that her husband was also a victim. At this moment, she no longer wanted to suppress her feelings, and pushed Shenlang down. The driver, Wang Feng, was shocked. The miss of the mythical turtle count's mansion is so wild. Doing this on the main road, returning from Furious Tide City, Shenlang, after a night of passion with Mulan, finally reconciled as before. Soon, they returned to the mythical turtle count's mansion. As soon as they arrived home, Jean Mutsung ran to tell them about the sovereign wanting him to study at the Imperial Academy. Hearing this, Shenlang couldn't help but find it amusing. Previously, Prince Ningjing had knelt in front of the sovereign for a whole day and night before the sovereign reluctantly agreed to let Jean Mutsung enter the capital for studies. Leaving a route for the Jean family hasn't been finalized yet. Now, with rumors of the Jean family discovering a gold mine, they immediately call for Jean Mutsung to study, to be a hostage. But until the reign over the sea strategy succeeds, the Jean family has no standing to bargain with the sovereign. Only after capturing Furious Tide City and Thunderous Isle will they have the strength to confront the sovereign. But if Jean Mutsung doesn't go, the sovereign will surely become suspicious, and this could jeopardize the plan. Just as Shenlang began to think of strategies, Jean Mutsung suddenly stood up and said, "Brother-in-law, let me go to the capital." Madame Jean instantly got angry upon hearing this. "No, Jean Mutsung, you are too naive by nature. Going to such a complex place as the capital, won't you be bullied to death?" However, Shenlang, on the side, deeply appreciated Jean Mutsung's decision. "Finally, my brother-in-law is willing to take responsibility." At this time, Jean Mutsung took his mother's hand and said, "Mother, if I don't go, it would be defying the imperial edict, which could bring disaster to our family. You have protected me under your wings since I was young. Now that I have grown up, I can also contribute to this family. Moreover, whenever there is anything important at home, brother-in-law always lets me listen in to learn. Now, brother-in-law's plan has reached a critical moment, and there must not be any slip-ups. I admit I am a bit slow and cannot help much in other areas, but going to the Imperial Academy is the greatest contribution I can make to the family." At this point, he looked toward Shenlang. "Brother-in-law, after this battle is over, you will definitely come to the capital to take me back, right?" Hearing Jean Mutsung's words, Shenlang was also stunned. He hadn't expected such a big change in his brother-in-law in just a few days. "Big guy, are you sure? The capital is not like home. If someone bullies you, we can't protect you. Everything will have to be dealt with by you." Jean Mutsung said with a determined look, "I have already thought it through, although I was indeed very scared at first. After careful consideration, I know I must choose this path." At this moment, Madame Jean, listening to her son's words from behind, couldn't help but have tears well up again. "This son has never left my side. Although a boy must go out and experience the world as he grows, Jean Mutsung is too naive. I really can't let go in my heart." At this moment, Jean Mulan came over to wipe her mother's tears. "Mother, don't worry. Your son-in-law will make sure everything is arranged properly for my brother. Let's go out for a walk and let my husband talk with my brother." Madame Jean had no choice but to leave reluctantly. Then, Jean Mutsung took out a bundle of manuscripts and said, "Brother-in-law, while you were away, I wrote a continuation of the story you made for Qiu Yaoer. Please take a look and see what you think." After Shenlang had read the manuscript for half an hour, he couldn't help but express his admiration. "I didn't expect this otaku could write the emotional content so well. Not only does he vividly describe the process of fighting demons, but he also interweaves the plot with deities coming to the rescue in such a thrilling manner. It's very engaging, but he also veered off the main plot. If the story continues this way, they'll end up fighting in the Heavenly Palace again. Then how will they continue on their journey to obtain the scriptures?" Jean Mutsung, seeing Shenlang's expression, was also very nervous. "How is it, brother-in-law?" Seeing this, Shenlang Lang did not skimp on his praise, saying it was indeed exciting. Encouraged, Jin Mutsung excitedly said, "Brother-in-law, I plan to make a name for myself in the Imperial Academy by writing books, continuing this journey of the monkey to obtain the scriptures. What do you think?" However, Lang countered him, "What you wrote is good, but it's not suitable for continuing this book. You've made the storyline too vengeful, and the emotions are too intense." Hearing Lang's critique, Jin Mutsung immediately deflated like a punctured balloon, very dejected. "Brother-in-law, do you think my writing is not good?" Lang smiled. "Of course, it's good, but it's more suited for another work. Come, let me orally give you the first chapter." After saying that, he sat down. "This first chapter will be over 60,000 words. You don't need to write it down, just listen carefully to the details." Hearing his brother-in-law's request, Jin Mutsung instantly turned into a good listener, sitting down to seriously listen to the story. As Lang narrated, the first chapter of the new story officially began. Looking at the testing magic steel, which shone brightly, even somewhat dazzlingly with 5 large characters. Power level 3. The youth showed no expression, but a self-mocking smile appeared at the corner of his lips. Indeed, this is the new story Lang brought to Jin Mutsung, Battle Through the Heavens. Following the plot led by Lang, Jin Mutsung was completely captivated. This story was truly fascinating. When it came to Nalan Yenron's annulment, Jin Mutsung felt as if he saw the scene when Xueli came to the Count's mansion to annul their engagement, immediately grinding his teeth in anger. But he also understood. The saying my brother-in-law told me, 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, do not bully the young and poor, originally comes from this book. After several hours of oral narration by Lang, the first chapter of the story finally came to an end. Then, Lang asked Jin Mutsung seriously again, "Big guy, are you sure you want to continue this story in the Imperial Academy?" Jin Mutsung immediately responded decisively, "In this lifetime, even if I do nothing else, I must continue this book to the end." Lang reminded him again, "If you can complete this work, you will definitely become famous in the future. Not only will you be popular in the Imperial Academy, but your name will also spread throughout the capital. However, this reputation might not be good. People might curse you for writing a highly toxic work, even considering you a shame to the Imperial Academy. Does that not matter to you?" Hearing about becoming famous, Jin Mutsung got even more excited. "It doesn't matter if it's a good reputation or a bad one. As long as I become famous, that's fine. Then, I'll be able to make friends through it. And if I can also find a wife, that would be even better." Lang smiled and continued, "Finding a wife, maybe not, but you will make many friends who are poor students. Those top students who pass the exams with high scores, they probably wouldn't want to associate with you." Jin Mutsung dismissively said, "It doesn't matter. After all, I'm also a poor student. Brother-in-law, please quickly outline the story and character descriptions for me. I'll think about the content on my way to the capital, so I can start writing as soon as I arrive at the Imperial Academy." Seeing his brother-in-law so determined, Lang didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately began to utilize the content in his mind, organizing and writing out the outline for the first 1 million words of Battle Through the Heavens. After a while, Jin Mutsung, treating the scroll as a treasured possession, hugged it to his chest, promising Lang with determination, "I will not let you down, brother-in-law." However, the silly seriousness lasted only 3 seconds before he blurted out, "Brother-in-law, when my new book is published, can I change the title to Boundless Romantic Affairs, Battle Through the Heavens?" Hearing this, Lang got angry on the spot. "The book isn't even written yet, and you're thinking about writing on the coattails of popularity? Is that how you plan to do it?" But the next second, Lang realized, "Are you planning to add adult content to it?" At this moment, Jin Mutsung suddenly showed a mischievous grin and said, "Brother-in-law, with so many beauties in this story, wouldn't it be a pity not to include some adult content?" Lang was speechless, but it seemed his brother-in-law wasn't entirely wrong. He could only say, "You can add them, but not too much, and it must not disrupt the main storyline of the book." With his brother-in-law's support, Jin Mutsung, at this moment, put all fear of going to the Imperial Academy aside, even looking forward to the writing journey ahead. They stayed up all night. Lang and his brother-in-law spent the whole night discussing the new work. Madame Jing wanted to spend some time with her son before he left, but seeing the enthusiastic discussion between him and Lang, she didn't want to interrupt. It seems the boy is closer to his brother-in-law, but that's good. He can learn some skills from Lang. One day, it might even save his life. At this moment, in the waters surrounding Cliffwatch Island, suddenly, 10 pirate ships appeared. Jin Shuring, upon seeing this, immediately issued a loud warning. "This is the Jin family's maritime territory. No ships are allowed to approach, or they will be killed without mercy." However, at that moment, a burst of laughter came from the leading pirate ship. Chiu Xiao stood on the deck, arrogantly saying, "You really are jokers. Not to mention this being your Jin family's territory. As long as the Chiu family desires it, the entire sea area belongs to the Chiu family." Seeing Chiu Xiao so bold, Jin Shuring immediately ordered the Jin family's warships to attack Chiu Xiao's pirate ship. Upon seeing this, Chiu Xiao laughed again. "You dare call those broken ships warships? Truly overestimating yourselves. Today, let me show you what real warships are." After saying this, Chiu Xiao shouted orders to his crew, "All pirates, prepare for battle." As his voice fell, the pirates loaded all their crossbows and aimed at the Jin family's warships. Facing Qiu Zhao's warships, Jin Shiriying knew well that the Jin family ships were no match. With just an order from Qiu Xiao to fire the arrows, the Jin side would undoubtedly be annihilated. Reluctantly, he had to let Qiu Zhao's ships pass. Thus, Qiu Xiao led the 10 warships majestically into the dock of Cliffwatch Island. The battle for Cliffwatch Island, also known as Golden Island, was about to reach its climax under Shenlang's arrangement, and this idiot, Qiu Xiao, who thinks with his lower half, still believed it was the mythical turtle count's fear of him that allowed him access to the island. As soon as he arrived on the island, he dragged his large sword, boasting for the mythical turtle count and Shenlang to come see him, unaware that the mythical turtle count had been observing them from the shadows for a long time. Shenlang really is prophetic. This big fish, Qiu Xiao, has indeed taken the bait. Not only has he come himself, but he has also brought several thousand pirates and 10 large warships. According to the plan, these warships are naturally to be all seized. But for these thousands of pirates, do we really follow Shenlang's instructions to behead them all and then send them to Qiu Tianwei? Seeing the arrogant Qiu Xiao in front of him, the mythical turtle count didn't say much and directly walked out. Upon seeing him, Qiu Xiao immediately asked, Jin Zhua, I heard that your Cliffwatch Island has struck gold. Aren't you going to show me quickly? The mythical turtle count didn't respond to the question, but changed the subject. Since young Master Qiu has come, let's not hurry to see the gold mine just yet. You've also been through a long voyage. You must be tired. Why not rest first? After saying this, he ordered Jin Shiriying to take them to the newly built barracks for rest. Qiu Xiao, seeing the mythical turtle count's ingratiating manner, felt very pleased with himself. With my father and thousands of pirates backing me, the Jin family can only try to curry favor with me. The mythical turtle count wouldn't dare harm a hair on my head. A moment later, they arrived at the rest area. Seeing the well-equipped facilities, Qiu Xiao immediately claimed them. Brothers, this is the barracks that the mythical turtle count specially built for us. Aren't you going to thank the count for his kindness? As Qiu Xiao finished speaking, all the pirates started to go wild. At this moment, Jin Shiriying and 2 guards, seeing the greedy faces of the pirates, wished they could kill them immediately. But Jin Shiriying knew the count had other plans. To avoid alarming them prematurely, he still advised to hold back their anger, and then left the place with the 2 guards. However, to Qiu Xiao, all these actions by the mythical turtle count were seen as signs of fear. Thus, his behavior afterwards became even more outrageous, pushing his luck further. Not only did he demand the count to bring Jean Mulan here to accompany him in drinking, he even specifically requested to have Jean's sword lady as a gift given to him. Pretending to be casual, he then went to the construction site on the island. Seeing such large-scale construction, Qiu Xiao became even more convinced of the gold mine on the island. The expenditure of such a large amount of money and grain for dock construction and castle building, almost moving the entire count's mansion to Cliffwatch Island, clearly indicates there's a gold mine on this island. But the mythical turtle count has been very accommodating to my demands, except when it comes to visiting the mine, he strongly obstructs it. Now is not the time to break with him, so I need to think of another plan. Early the next day, the miners began to enter the mine to start work one after another. Among these miners, Qiu Xiao had deliberately disguised himself to blend in. Upon entering the mine, he was stunned by the scene before him. He saw a huge mine pit that seemed bottomless, with an estimated diameter of 1 to 200 meters. Around the bottom of the pit, numerous houses had been constructed. Qiu Xiao continued to follow deeper into the mine, where the security became increasingly strict. Each miner had to enter by showing a tag. Fortunately, Qiu Xiao had already eliminated the original owner of the tag, allowing him to blend in safely. He then began to check the houses one by one. When he pushed open the first door, the glittering gold nearly blinded him. Holy shit, there's so much gold sand piled up here. At least tens of thousands of pounds by estimate. And there are also dozens of boxes of gold bars. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, he opened another door. This room had a setup that diverted the island's river along with its sediment inside. The workers were proficiently washing the gold sand from the sediment, but the gold content in this sediment was incredibly high. Almost half of the sediment was gold sand. In just a moment, another pile of gold sand was accumulated. At this moment, Qiu Xiao was so excited he could hardly breathe. No wonder the mythical turtle count's mansion could easily pay off 800,000. With such a large gold mine, another 10 times 800,000 could easily be produced. Now, my Qiu family is going to be rich. Forget about just taking 50%. This entire gold mine will belong to the Qiu family. All mine. Qiu Zhao's. Early in the morning at the mythical turtle count's mansion, a mysterious guest arrived. This person was a trusted eunuch of Prince Ningjing, sent especially because he was worried about Jin Muzong's safety on his journey to the capital. Madame Jin was very touched by this gesture and immediately wanted to prepare some special gifts to send back with the eunuch to Prince Ningjing. The eunuch initially tried to decline, but couldn't resist Madame Jin's insistence and agreed. A moment later, several large boxes of gifts arranged by Shenlang were presented. Here, besides common items like silk and swords, there were also many of Shenlang's specially made shampoos, soaps, perfumes, and facial masks. Of course, these were gifts Shenlang Shenlang prepared for Prince Ningzheng's wife. As it has been said since ancient times, to build a relationship, one must first win over the significant other. Although the eunuch didn't know what these items Shenlang was sending were, given the relationship between his master and the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, the prepared items would not be ordinary. He immediately thanked Madame Jean on behalf of his master. At this time, Shenlang stepped forward and asked, "May I ask, eunuch, has Prince Ningzheng been having a difficult time recently?" The eunuch told Shenlang that ever since Prince Ningzheng had helped the mythical Turtle Count's mansion in their time of need, and especially after Shenlang's 800,000 gold coins embarrassed many, everything had caused the sovereign to fly into a rage. He even suspected that Ningzheng was colluding with the mythical Turtle Count's mansion to sabotage the new policies. Not only was Ningzheng scolded and forced to kneel many times, but for some baseless accusations, a column of Ningzheng's mansion was removed as a warning. Even so, when Ningzheng learned that the sovereign had allowed Jin Muzong to study at the Imperial Academy, he did not hesitate to help, all to preserve the last branch of the Jin family. At this point, the eunuch sighed. "My master asks for nothing for himself, but has suffered countless injustices. He may think nothing of it, but we servants feel indignant on our master's behalf." Shenlang didn't say much, but expressed his gratitude with a simple phrase, "Thank you for His Highness's concern. One day, I will personally go to thank His Highness." The eunuch, being a wise man, understood Shenlang's intention. Cliffwatch Island is facing turbulent times. Please be extra cautious, mythical Turtle Count. Shenlang inquired, "Has someone been lobbying in the capital?" The eunuch nodded, "And not just one group. They have long coveted the gold mine on your island. Now, they can hardly restrain themselves any longer." After hearing this, Shenlang again expressed his thanks to the eunuch for the warning, understanding in his heart that he needed to accelerate his strategic plans. Soon, it was time to part ways. Everyone in the family came outside the mansion to see off Jean Muzong. Madame Jean was nearly crying her eyes out, and Jean Mulan had to keep wiping her mother's tears. At this moment, the bored eunuch Wang began to tease the trusted eunuch of Prince Ningzheng. "His Highness the Fifth Prince really is warm-hearted, but isn't it a bit late to start cooking when it's already mealtime?" However, his words, coincidentally overheard by Shenlang, sparked a response. Well, are you insinuating that Ningzheng is colluding with my Jean family with ambitions of usurpation? Alright, since you like to joke so much, let me join in the fun." Then he quietly whispered into Eunuch Wang's ear. "Eunuch Wang, what do you mean by that? Are you cursing the sovereign?" Eunuch Wang, hearing Shenlang's words, quickly retorted, "You, a mere son-in-law, should not make unfounded accusations. I definitely did not mean that." Shenlang laughed. "Then what do you mean by it's almost mealtime? Are you perhaps referring to the crown prince? At this moment, the sovereign is at the peak of his reign, yet you say it's almost mealtime. This clearly sounds like a curse against the sovereign. Since you claim you didn't mean that, let's report this statement to His Majesty. Whether or not it's believed, the sovereign himself will decide. Don't you agree?" At this moment, Eunuch Wang's face had turned from pale to ashen with fright. He knew well that if these words reached the sovereign's ears, though he might not be dismissed or put to death, being beaten and kneeling for hours would be inevitable. The rumors about Shenlang being as heartless as a venomous snake seemed to be true. He truly is someone who should not and cannot be provoked. Eunuch Wang dared not speak anymore in front of Shenlang. Hastily had someone call for Jean Muzong to get into the carriage and leave. Watching the official carriage depart, Jean Mulan felt very upset, and Madame Jean was crying so hard she could hardly catch her breath. Shenlang was also saddened, but his sorrow was used to be about eating, sleeping, and teasing Fatty. Now that Fatty is gone, there's no one left to tease. Turning back to see his mother-in-law in a daze, Shenlang quickly went forward to comfort her. "I will personally go to the capital to bring the brother-in-law back." Early the next morning, Shenlang also prepared to set off. He and Jean Mulan, standing outside the Count's mansion, found it hard to part, but the final phase of the Cliffwatch Island strategy had to be executed by Shenlang. He softly said, "Wife, all matters of the home are entrusted to you and mother-in-law. Your father and I will surely solve all problems quickly and return with victory." After speaking, he departed towards Cliffwatch Island with Huang Feng under Jean Mulan's watchful gaze. By evening, Shenlang arrived at Cliffwatch Island. Upon landing, he quickly went to the mythical Turtle Count's room. "Father-in-law, when I passed by the newly built barracks, I saw several pirates. Has Qiu Xiao arrived?" The mythical Turtle Count informed Shenlang. "Qiu Xiao arrived on the island a few days ago. He has been acting arrogantly, causing widespread anger, but I've followed your plan and let Qiu Xiao into the mine. After seeing the gold, he has already sent more than a dozen pirates to report back to Furious Tide City. I believe Qiu Tianwei will act soon." Upon hearing this, Shenlang immediately showed a sly smile. "Father-in-law, tonight we shall host a banquet for Qiu Xiao. Now that the pig is fattened, it's time for the slaughterhouse." At this moment, Qiu Tianwei, elated by the information Qiu Xiao had gathered about the gold mine on Cliffwatch Island, could hardly believe the content of the message. The Jin family has really developed such a massive gold mine. However, after calming his excitement, Qiu Tianwei sensed something amiss. A normal gold mine can only extract up to 50,000 gold coins a year, but now, the Jin family has extracted over 1 million gold coins in just a few months. Such high output really is hard to feel at ease with. After much thought, Qiu Tianwei immediately ordered his alchemist, Master Zhang, to be brought to him. A short while later, having learned the full story, Master Zhang began to carefully examine the gold from the mine. Seeing that the Taoist priest remained silent, Qiu Tianwei, standing by, was visibly impatient. Master Zhang, you understand the situation now. Based on your observation, is there anything wrong with the gold mine the Jin family is mining? Could there be any deception? Master Zhang shook his head and said, based on my years of experience, there's nothing wrong with this gold mine. After speaking, Master Zhang stood up and bowed to Qiu Tianwei, saying, congratulations, my king. Based on my experience and judging by this material, the gold mine on Cliffwatch Island is not merely an ordinary gold mine, it is an ancient gold vein. Upon hearing the term ancient gold vein, Qiu Tianwei's body jolted sharply. The so-called ancient gold vein refers to a gold reserve left by an ancient emperor. At some point in time, the world underwent significant changes, transforming the entire land and ocean, and during this period, the earth generated temperatures high enough to melt everything. The gold left behind formed a river of gold underground, flowing everywhere, scattering over this island, creating a gold vein. It can be said that once a gold vein is discovered, it's no different from picking up gold from the ground. After hearing the Taoist's explanation, Qiu Tianwei still harbored some doubts. Everyone knows that Jin family's son-in-law, Shenlang, is cunning and ruthless. He suspected all this might just be an act, but looking around the entire world, how many forces could produce so much gold? Currently, the Hidden Origin Society certainly wouldn't help him, and even the Heavenly Path Society, ranked second in wealth, without a huge interest, wouldn't take such a big risk to produce such a large sum of money for a mere son-in-law to play a no-win scenario. Thinking this, he turned to Master Zhang and asked, based on your experience, how much reserve do you estimate this gold vein to have? Master Zhang told Qiu Tianwei, 30 years ago, the Great Jin Kingdom extracted an ancient gold vein. 20-odd years ago, the Great Flame Empire mobilized 1.3 million elite troops to invade the Great Qian Kingdom. All expenses of the Great Flame Empire were paid by the Great Jin Kingdom. Master, now that you hold the Isle of Gold Mountain in your hands, and with the reappearance of an ancient gold vein on Cliffwatch Island, isn't this a sign that your dominance is about to be established? At this moment, Qiu Tianwei, hearing the Taoist's words, felt more and more excited and overjoyed. The next second, he summoned his shadow guards. Go and send a message to the mythical turtle count, demanding he hand over 80% of the gold mine on the island, and the pirates from Furious Tide City must also station on Cliffwatch Island to participate in the mining of the gold mine. Should he refuse, I will gather tens of thousands of troops and completely erase the Jin family from this world. As night falls, in the Cliffwatch Island garrison, the loud laughter of pirates fills the island. These fellows, drinking and eating meat in the camp, are having a great time, having lost all sense of vigilance they had upon arrival. In their minds, the mythical turtle count and his soldiers are too cowardly. The pirates have stolen the soldiers' food, wine, and meat, driving them out of the barracks, and the mythical turtle count doesn't dare make a sound. Outside the camp, a bone-chilling wind blows. The soldiers of the mythical turtle count's mansion can only sit huddled on a hilltop, eating coarse grains and drinking plain water, listening to the taunting laughter from inside the camp. The contrast is truly unbearable. At this time, a few drunk pirates wander out of the barracks and shout at the count's mansion soldiers, your mythical turtle count is so cowardly, truly a disgrace to his ancestors. You brothers, following such a coward, what's the point? Might as well join us pirates for some real fun. These nobles are all bullies who fear the hard. Tonight, Qiu Xiao, our young master, is being invited by the mythical turtle count for drinks. Who knows? To please our young master, the mythical turtle count might even offer Shenlang to accompany him for the night. The soldiers, listening to the taunts of these beasts, are all grinding their teeth in anger, but they know they must not let a moment of anger ruin the young master's plan, so they can only forcefully swallow this bitter pill. Meanwhile, inside the mythical turtle count's reception hall, he and Shenlang are hosting a banquet for Qiu Xiao. Although Qiu Xiao is usually arrogant and domineering, he is incredibly suspicious and cunning at heart. For this banquet, he brought his own food, not touching any of the wine and meat prepared by the mythical turtle count. Qiu Xiao even cautiously controls his alcohol intake, always maintaining a sober state. Shenlang understands. Qiu Xiao fears we might drug him. He wants to remain, always ready to defend himself. At this moment, Qiu Xiao, looking dissatisfied, directly asks Shenlang, Shenlang, I've been on Cliffwatch Island for so long, and you've refused to show yourself. Do you not take me seriously? Shenlang had no choice but to reluctantly open his clothing to explain. Young master, please calm your anger. I was severely injured by a tigress recently and couldn't even get out of bed. When I learned you were on Cliffwatch Island, I forced myself to come here. Qiu Xiao stepped forward, looking at Shenlang's scars, puzzled. Is this Jin Mulan's doing? Shenlang dressed himself and shook his head. It's the handiwork of another female Tyrannosaurus. Hearing this, Qiu Xiao burst into laughter. Well done, Shenlang. I didn't expect that failing to get Jin Mulan, you'd be so desperate as to find such a rough wild woman outside. At this moment, Shenlang retorted with feigned anger. Young Marquis, our Jin Jin family has treated your Cho family with respect. I can tolerate your rudeness towards me, but could you please discipline your pirates? Stop challenging our patience again and again. Hearing Shenlang refer to him as young Marquis, Chiu Xiao was momentarily stunned, followed by an undeniable joy. It seems the Jin family is aware that my father is about to become the Furious Tides Marquis. No wonder this little wretch, Shenlang, is all kinds of respectful and flattering towards me, daring not to overstep. Thinking this, Chiu Xiao became even more arrogant. If you can't tolerate it, just take action. We can have another great battle like the one 20 years ago. Hearing Chiu Xiao's words, the mythical turtle count hurriedly stepped forward to smooth things over. These are matters of the past. Why bring them up again? Young Master Chiu Xiao. Seeing the mythical turtle count acting so cowardly, Chiu Xiao laughed even more wildly. Mythical turtle count, 20 years ago was the weakest time for my Chiu family. Yet your father, Jin Yu Count, led more than 10,000 troops to attack my Thunderous Isle. Unfortunately, in the end, his entire army was wiped out. Now, your Jin family's military strength is less than 1/3 of that, while our Chiu family has expanded several times over. With such a gap, what grounds do you have to negotiate terms with me? Don't forget your situation. If we lead 30,000 troops to attack the Jin family, who would dare help you? Those nobles who are like turtles shrinking their heads? Or would the sovereign help you? At these words, the mythical turtle count and Shenlang's faces turned ashen, mumbling, "Peace is most precious." Seeing their reaction, Chiu Xiao sneered and said, "You want peace? That's not impossible, but it depends on the sincerity of the Jin family." Shenlang, pale, looked up at Chiu Xiao. "Young Marquis, to prove our sincerity, our Jin family is willing to offer 20,000 gold coins to the Chiu family every year, without charge. Do you think that's acceptable?" Hearing this figure, Chiu Xiao instantly flew into a rage, throwing his wine cup violently at Shenlang. Huang Feng, quick to react, blocked it, saving Shenlang from disaster. Shenlang, seeing the wine cup embedded in the wall panel, was covered in cold sweat. Such a beast, his actions are really ruthless. Meanwhile, Chiu Xiao, face full of anger, yelled, "Your Jin family offers 20,000 gold coins a year. Are you treating me like a beggar?" At this moment, Shenlang glanced at his father-in-law, but the mythical turtle count lowered his eyelids, gently shaking his head. Shenlang immediately understood. It seems my father-in-law believes that even deploying the Jin family's 3 top experts, it would be hard to take down Chiu Xiao, and with thousands of pirates outside, our military power simply cannot compete. Thus, Shenlang quickly put on a smiling face to appease Chiu Xiao, indicating that everything could be discussed again. Then, he had a servant fetch a new wine cup for Chiu Xiao. Chiu Xiao directly refused. "No need, I brought several with me." Shenlang jokingly asked, "Why so suspicious, young Marquis? With Furious Tide City and tens of thousands of troops behind you, how could we dare to harm you?" Chiu Xiao poured himself a glass of his own wine and said directly, "You, Shenlang, are famously cunning and ruthless. I'd better be careful." Then, Shenlang instructed the servants to prepare various rare delicacies. "This is caviar, very rare and valuable. Quickly take some to the young Marquis." "No thanks, I dare not eat." He cut a slice of his own meat and put it in his mouth, continuing, "Shenlang, don't waste your effort. I've humiliated Jin Mulan, poisoned your Jin family's wells. I've done all this, and I know you hate me thoroughly. Yet, even so, you wouldn't dare touch a hair on my head. Also, you said 20,000 gold coins a year. Do you take me for a fool? Do you really think I don't know that there's a large gold mine on Cliffwatch Island? So, there's no negotiation here, only a declaration. We, the Chiu family, want 80% of the gold mine on Cliffwatch Island, and we will also station troops and mine it ourselves." Hearing this, Shenlang stood up excitedly and shouted, "Young Master Chiu, you're being too excessive. Even if we have a gold mine on the island, do you really think you can just take 80%? Isn't that asking for too much?" Chiu Xiao, looking at Shenlang's frustration, laughed triumphantly. "I didn't come here to negotiate with you. I'm just informing you. Either agree, or let my tens of thousands of troops storm Cliffwatch Island and completely annihilate the Jin family. Also, each of my brothers can't live without a woman. Mythical turtle count, within 5 days, you must send us 500 beautiful women. Most importantly, that Jin sword lady must be brought to me. I want to have my way with her in front of Shenlang." Faced with the extremely arrogant Chiu Xiao, the mythical turtle count and Shenlang were so enraged they trembled, wishing they could immediately tear this scoundrel to pieces. Suddenly, Chiu Xiao felt the room become unbearably hot, but he didn't pay much attention to it, assuming the charcoal fire was simply too strong, and he thought about leaving. At this moment, Shenlang hurriedly stopped him, speaking almost pleadingly, "Young Marquis, please don't rush off. Let's talk it over again. Since it's a partnership, how about we split it 50-50? If you agree, we are willing to offer 200,000 gold immediately as a token of our sincerity." Chiu Zhao's eyes lit up upon hearing this, but his greed wouldn't allow him to settle for just 200,000 gold. "Shenlang, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. A 30-70 split, plus 500,000 gold." Hearing Chiu Zhao's words, Shenlang's expression changed. "Young Marquis, isn't that demand a bit too much? Besides, we can't produce that much gold at once." However, Chiu Xiao didn't give them a chance to refuse. "You have the time it takes an incense stick to burn to consider. If you don't agree, then wait for my father to gather a large army army and attack Cliffwatch Island. Seeing this, Shenlang, scared, kept waving his hands. Alright, young Marquis, just wait a moment, let us discuss. Seeing the two Jin family members start to discuss, Chiu Xiao sat down again, waiting for their decision, but the heat in the room seemed to grow even more intense, and the sweat on his body made him feel even hotter. Suddenly, a woman's scream came from the side. Chiu Xiao turned to look and saw the servant who had been serving him had knocked over a water jug, and she was soaked, her clothes clinging tightly to her body. That's when he realized the servant was actually a woman. At this sight, Chiu Xiao's inner fire exploded. Well, Shenlang, you dare deceive me, saying there were no women on the island. This girl must be specifically brought here to entertain yourself, he said, then lecherously pinned the woman to the ground, starting to rip off her clothes. Shenlang, I'll give you the time of one more incense stick. When I'm done, you'd better have a perfect answer for me, he said, picking up the woman's undergarment, taking a deep sniff. Delicious, truly delicious. Behind him, Shenlang was now trembling uncontrollably, unable to suppress the ecstasy in his heart. Chiu Xiao, you're finally going to die. Then, he exchanged glances with the mythical turtle count. Shenlang had devised 7 or 8 plans to drug Chiu Xiao, never expecting it would be this most despicable trick with the undergarment that worked. What Chiu Xiao didn't know was that the woman beneath him was just a prostitute that Shenlang had brought from a brothel. At this moment, the drug in Chiu Xiao's body began to take effect. He felt his brain become delusional, and his body seemed to float uncontrollably. Suddenly, he burst into maniacal laughter. Shenlang, listen well. Not only must you bring Jean Sword Lady to me, but I also want Jean Mulan. I will ravage them brutally in front of you. However, before his words could fully land, the mythical turtle count, like lightning, appeared behind him. The next second, the mythical turtle count struck Chiu Xiao's neck. With a snap, his cervical vertebrae completely broke. As Chiu Xiao fell, everything below his neck was paralyzed. Under normal circumstances, the mythical turtle count would never get close to Chiu Xiao, but this scum, greedy and poisoned by the drug Shenlang had administered, was now like a lamb to the slaughter, easily taken down by the mythical turtle count. At that moment, pirates guarding outside the door, hearing the noise inside, began to bang on the door non-stop. The next second, with a bang, a burly pirate kicked the door open, but as they saw the scene before them, they were instantly terrified. They saw Shenlang, with a cold gaze, sitting atop Chiu Xiao, a dagger pressed against his neck, and coldly said to the pirates, "Take one step forward, and prepare to collect your young master's corpse." At that moment, Jin Shiring rushed in with his soldiers, and the pirates realized they had fallen into a trap. Shenlang then grabbed Chiu Xiao's head, whispered in his ear, "If you don't want to die, have your men retreat to the courtyard outside." The leading pirate fiercely warned Shenlang, "You better release our young master quickly. Otherwise, once our main force arrives, we will annihilate all of you." Shenlang, with a sinister look at the bald pirate, increased the pressure of his hand. "Is that so? Let's see who dies first." Then, the Chiu Xiao beneath him shouted at the pirates, "Idiots, get out! All of you retreat to the courtyard." Although the bald pirate did not understand what exactly had happened to their young master or why he was under Shenlang's control, for their young master's safety, he could only compromise reluctantly. He then turned and led the pirates out of the room, unaware that Shenlang had already stationed archers around the courtyard on the hills. Thousands of archers released their arrows at once upon command, and a dense shower of arrows fell on the pirates in the courtyard like rain, with the night's poor visibility. By the time the pirates saw the arrows, it was too late to dodge. Those near the door who attempted to flee back inside found Jin Shiring had already locked the door, and all soldiers were blocking it. In an instant, thousands of arrows pierced through the bodies of more than 100 pirates. Now, in the courtyard, only the cries of dying pirates remained. Meanwhile, in the military camp below the hill, the remaining 2,000 pirates were still drinking and eating meat, mocking Shenlang wildly. Suddenly, one pirate seemed to hear the sound of fighting from the hilltop. The pirates hurriedly rushed out to check, seeing the sky above the hilltop ablaze with fire. At this sight, the pirates immediately panicked. Has the mythical turtle count gone mad, daring to lay hands on our young master? After saying that, they gathered all the pirates and charged towards the mountain. Seeing the timing was right, Jin Shiring immediately ordered the release of rolling logs and boulders, instantly causing many pirates to suffer injuries or death. Seeing this, the pirate leaders immediately changed their strategy, allowing a portion of their elite warriors to disperse and climb up the stone walls. Jin Shiring, observing these pirates, had to admit, Chiu Xiao's direct troops are indeed very formidable. Not only are they strong in combat, but also brave, fearless of death. But even if they are formidable, my Jin soldiers are not vegetarians. He then ordered again, continue firing arrows. Don't stop the boulders and rolling logs. The dark night, lit only by the faint light of torches, made it hard to see clearly, but the screams of numerous pirates hit by the rolling logs and boulders and falling down the mountain could be heard. Suddenly, a hand grabbed the edge of the cliff, and the next second, a pirate leaped up, swinging his sword and directly injuring a Count's mansion soldier. Then, several more pirates climbed up. Seeing this, the soldiers quickly formed ranks and raised their shields for defense. Meanwhile, the mythical turtle Count and Shenlang, watching from behind, were also shocked by the pirates' strength. Keep in mind, they're in a drunken state, and it's night combat. Under normal circumstances, the mythical Turtle Count's mansion's military power might really not be enough for these pirates. But well, Shenlang said with a sly smile on his lips. The next second, one of the pirates suddenly felt a severe stomach pain, followed by a second and third. The group of pirates began clutching their stomachs in discomfort. Jin Shuriying seized this opportunity and led his soldiers in a direct attack. Yes, it was Shenlang who had someone lace the pirates' drinks with laxatives. Letting them steal food and drink for days on end was to lower their guard, and tonight, they finally tasted his specially prepared laxative. Under Shenlang's command, the soldiers of the mythical Turtle Count's mansion easily dealt with the 2,000+ pirates under Qiu Xiao. After a night of fighting, Cliffwatch Island welcomed the first rays of the rising sun from the east. Qiu Xiao also slowly opened his eyes, gradually regaining consciousness. Suffering from a splitting headache, he completely forgot what had happened the night before. At this moment, still irritable, had not yet noticed the abnormality in his body. Someone bring me the spittoon. I need to wash up. I need to get dressed. Where is everyone? Why so slow? Looks like I'll have to use the knife again. As he instinctively tried to sit up, he was horrified to find he couldn't feel his hands. More precisely, he had no sensation at all below his neck. Just as he was trying to recall the events of the previous night, Shenlang directly pushed the door open and strode in. Qiu, young master, you're awake. Would you like me to prepare some breakfast for you? Qiu Xiao was stunned. What's this, Qiu Mu? What are you up to now? Shenlang, smiling, sat next to Qiu Xiao. Then, looking at his bewildered face, slowly lifted the quilt. Young master Qiu, how could you not know your new name? Without the bird, aren't you just Mu? Wood? As Shenlang's words fell, Qiu Xiao discovered the most vital part of a man was missing from his body. The next second, a scream like that of a slaughtered pig erupted. Shenlang, you scoundrel, what have you done to me? Someone, come here. Where have all you useless ones gone? Watching Qiu Zhao's furious face, Shenlang calmly had someone bring in a blood-stained sack and then asked with a smile, Young Marquis, were you calling for them? As Shenlang spoke, thousands of pirate heads rolled out of the sack. Young Master Qiu, you had too many underlings. This room couldn't fit them all, so I had to reduce their volume a bit to bring them here. But rest assured, all 2,000 pirates are here. Not one more, not one less. Qiu Xiao looked in horror at the pile of heads before him. Have you gone mad? Mythical Turtle Count, you dare massacre like this? Aren't you afraid of retaliation from over 30,000 pirates of Furious Tide City? Aren't you afraid my father will exterminate the Jin family? At this, Shenlang pulled up a chair and sat in front of the bed, saying, Young Marquis, there are two things you must know. First, there is no gold mine on Cliffwatch Island. This gold was provided by the Heavenly Path Society. I simply melted it down, mixed it into the soil to deceive you. Qiu Xiao was stunned. How can there be no gold mine? The Heavenly Path Society isn't foolish. Why would they give you, Shenlang, millions of gold? Faced with Qiu Zhao's questioning, Shenlang merely produced a mirror and said, Do you think this mirror, which cost less than 1 silver coin, is worth 1 million gold coins? At the sight of the mirror, Qiu Xiao finally realized the truth. He was arrogant, but not foolish. Such a clear and bright mirror. Its value definitely exceeded 1 million gold coins. No wonder the Heavenly Path Society was willing to provide such a massive amount of gold to support Shenlang. Then, Shenlang leaned closer to whisper in Qiu Zhao's ear. The second thing, aren't you curious who left those bite marks on me? That was the handiwork of your beloved sister, Qiu Yaoer. She tormented me for 2 whole hours. Though it was agonizing, it was also exhilarating. Of course, it wasn't my intention, and indeed, I went there to treat her. Just didn't expect you, a brute, to drug your own sister. Unfortunately, you just missed your chance and instead helped me. So, in this way, I really should thank you. Hearing these words, Qiu Xiao was on the verge of breaking down, biting toward Shenlang. I'll kill you. I swear the Jin family will be buried with you. Faced with Qiu Zhao's threats, Shenlang remained indifferent, continuing to strike at his heart. Qiu Xiao, almost everyone who has directly offended me in this world has died. But do you know why I haven't killed you? Because I want to lure your father, Qiu Tianwei, here. Shenlang's face was no longer mocking but sinister as he said, Did you think we were genuinely trying to please you these days? That was just a trap to let you lower your guard. Similarly, I've created an even more perfect trap for your father and the main force of Furious Tide City's pirates. This time, I will exterminate your Qiu family, avenging the Jin family from 20 years ago. Not only that, I'll also eliminate all the pirates of Furious Tide City in one fell swoop and take over Thunderous Isle. Upon hearing this, Qiu Xiao felt a chill down his spine, finally realizing the extent of Shenlang's terror. He hadn't imagined Shenlang could lay such an elaborate conspiracy. When did he start planning? Was it from the Isle of Gold Mountain dispute? No, it must have started from the time he wrote Boundless Romantic Affairs. How could there be such a terrifying person in this world? Shenlang, are you human or a ghost? No, I can't die. Even if emasculated and paralyzed in bed, he couldn't die because only by living could he seek revenge against Shenlang. With this thought, he drastically changed his arrogant demeanor, desperately trying to please Shenlang. Shenlang, please don't kill me. You can let your enemy witness you annihilating tens of thousands of pirates and taking down Furious Tide City. Plus, I know where my family's treasure is, so you definitely can't kill me. Shenlang, seeing Qiu Zhao's sycophantic behavior, couldn't help but show a playful smile. The will to live is indeed strong. Even castrated and paralyzed to this extent, you still think about surviving. He then said, Qiu Xiao, brother, you're quite clever. You make a good point. So, I'll give you a chance to live. You better grasp it well. After speaking, he pointed to a figure outside the door. Look who I've brought for you. At that moment, standing at the door was Jean Sword Lady, dressed in battle attire, looking valiant. Shenlang looked at Qiu Xiao with a sinister smile. Young Master Qiu, see how good I am to you. You said last night you wanted to sleep with her, and today I brought her to you. Qiu Xiao, seeing Shenlang's malicious smile, instantly broke out in a cold sweat again. Then, Shenlang silently lit an incense stick. Young Master Qiu, if you can crawl to Jean Sword Lady's feet and kiss the sole of her shoe before this incense stick burns out, I won't kill you. Qiu Xiao was dumbfounded. Shenlang, stop joking. My limbs can't move. How am I supposed to crawl there? Shenlang sarcastically replied, your hands and feet may not move, but you still have teeth. Upon hearing this, Qiu Zhao's inner world exploded. Shenlang, you scoundrel, why don't you come and demonstrate how to crawl with teeth for me? But this complaint he dared only keep within his heart. Then, a scene that defied everyone's expectations occurred. Qiu Xiao actually started moving forward by dragging his body with his teeth. Seeing Qiu Xiao moving forward like a driven worm, Shenlang couldn't help but inwardly exclaim, Qiu Xiao, you're truly a miracle. You actually managed to crawl using your teeth. It's simply unbelievable. At this moment, Qiu Xiao was crawling forward, driven entirely by his hatred. Even if his face was covered in blood, he was determined to complete the task and live. He wanted revenge. He wanted Shenlang to suffer a terrible fate. The time it took for an incense stick to burn quickly passed, and finally, Qiu Xiao, through sheer will, reached the feet of Jean Sword Lady. By then, he was gasping heavily, his mouth so painful he could hardly speak. Seeing this, Shenlang couldn't help but applaud. Remarkable, Qiu Xiao, you're truly amazing. You've created a miracle. With a muffled voice, Qiu Xiao asked Shenlang, Shenlang, can I live now? Shenlang laughed, of course, I keep my word. I won't kill you, but just because I won't kill you, doesn't mean others won't. Before his words could fade, Jean Sword Lady had already raised her sword high, and in Qiu Zhao's horror, she fiercely stabbed through his heart. A second strike followed, instantly decapitating Qiu Xiao. The pirate prince thus met his end. Shenlang stepped forward, picked up Qiu Zhao's head, still wide-eyed in death, and handed it to a pirate standing by. This man was an emissary from Qiu Tianwei, sent for negotiations. He had not expected, upon arriving on the island, to see Qiu Xiao crawling on the ground. Shenlang, with a challenging tone, said, brother, please restrain your grief. Take your young master's head and these 2,000 heads back. Deliver them to the Pirate King, and don't forget to tell the Pirate King his beloved son died in unrest. Watching Shenlang's arrogant demeanor, the emissary, holding Qiu Zhao's head, felt anger he dared not express. He couldn't understand why Shenlang dared to kill their young master. Did he not fear the Pirate King's wrath, annihilating the Jean family? After the pirate emissary left, Shenlang turned and thanked Jean Sword Lady with a bow. Being Shenlang's little fan, Sword Lady blushed at seeing such gentlemanly behavior from young Master Shen, and then, with a shy voice, said, young Master Shen, I should be the one thanking you. Being able to kill that beast with my own hands has allowed me to vent my anger. By then, Jean Hui, having arranged everything, hurried over. It had been a long time since he'd seen his wife, and he wanted to check if everything was fine at home. However, her heart fluttered with the first stirrings of love. Only had eyes for young Master Shen, completely ignoring her brother's presence. She merely said to young Master Shen, there's nothing for me here, so I'll be going. Poor Jean Hui, watching his sister leave, could only mutter in his heart, pretty boys are no good. Even though he said it in his heart, he instinctively covered his mouth, afraid his petty and narrow-minded master might have mind-reading abilities. Half an hour later, the mythical turtle Count and Shenlang arrived at the mine pit on the mountainside. When Qiu Xiao first saw this pit, he thought it was dug for mining gold. Little did he know it was Shenlang's final trap for Qiu Tianwei. Looking at this nearly completed grand project, Shenlang slowly said, my dear father-in-law, the new year is almost upon us. The mythical turtle Count sighed as well. Yes, in 3 days, it'll be New Year. In the past, I dreaded the spring festival the most, because we are nobles. Every festival required extravagant spending. If you don't do it, people will talk behind your back, saying the Jean family is stingy, surely a sign of our family's decline. Shenlang understood his father-in-law's situation well. Many times, what the country emphasizes is morale. The royal family and the nobles below are the same. It's like in modern society's companies, where face and appearances matter. Then, the mythical turtle Count continued, this year, though we no longer need to keep up appearances, it's a pity our family might not be able to reunite. Shenlang, why don't you go back for a visit? Have the New Year's Eve dinner with your parents, your mother-in-law, and Mulan? Shenlang shook his head. No, father-in-law, we can't celebrate this year, and neither can our enemies. The most critical moment is upon us. We cannot afford to be careless, or make any mistakes. Hearing this, the mythical turtle Count gave Shenlang a look of appreciation and determination. Good son-in-law, I wasn't wrong about you. Then let's fight shoulder to shoulder, father and son. The shame left by your grandfather will be avenged by you, his grandson-in-law. After this battle, our mythical turtle Count's mansion will rise again. Meanwhile, in a luxurious residence in New River City. A heavy snowfall covered the entire courtyard, turning it into a scenic beauty as if born from the cold. Inside, a stunningly beautiful woman dressed in fox fur delicately complained about the winter's chill. She was the crown prince's favorite concubine kept outside the palace, Zhao Yan. Her other identity was Jean Mulan's senior sister from the same martial sect. Another person inside was Jean High Count Tang Luan, currently reporting to Zhao Yan about the gold mine news Qiu Xiao had discovered on Cliffwatch Island. Zhao Yan's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Jean High Count, are you serious? Is there really a gold mine on Cliffwatch Island? Tang Luan hurriedly took out the copy of the letter Qiu Xiao wrote to Qiu Tianwei and handed it to Zhao Yan. After reading it, Zhao Yan frowned. Gold mines aren't supposed to be like this. Tang Luan laughed. Right, an ordinary gold mine indeed wouldn't have so much gold sand visible in the mine soil, nor would it have so many gold nuggets, unless it's an ancient gold vein. She had heard of ancient gold veins, but those were rare and not easily found. However, if the Jean family could produce so much gold, even if it wasn't an ancient gold vein, it must be much larger than a normal gold mine. Then, leaning lazily back in her chair, she asked, "So, tell me, Jean High Count, what do you plan to do next?" Seeing an opportunity to continue, Tang Luan promptly bowed. "I wish to ally with Qiu Tianwei to take down Cliffwatch Island, but Qiu Tianwei fears the sovereign's wrath, hence hesitates. Currently, the crown prince assists the sovereign with state affairs, a task most arduous. I hold the utmost admiration for the crown prince. Therefore, I wish to offer 25% of the gold mine's yield annually to the crown prince after seizing Cliffwatch Island." Zhao Yan, still somewhat doubtful, continued, "Wouldn't letting a pirate occupy your kingdom territory indefinitely diminish the sovereign's authority?" Tang Luan added, "Please rest assured, after we capture Cliffwatch Island, we will annihilate all members of the Jean family, except for the young master Jean Muzong. At that time, Jean Muzong will become the new mythical turtle count. Then, we will arrange a marriage for him." Hearing this, Zhao Yan smiled. "So, you plan to marry your daughter to Jean Muzong and have your son marry Qiu Yaoer. In this way, everything of the mythical turtle count's mansion will become the private property of your two families, right?" Jean High Count didn't answer directly, but bowed deeply. "I am forever a follower of the crown prince, and Qiu Tianwei holds the crown prince in high regard. At any time, I will always stand by the crown prince." Zhao Yan, having heard such flattery many times before, didn't take it seriously and stood up to ask, "So, how many troops do you plan to deploy?" Tang Luan replied, "The allied forces of both families should be around 30,000. Zhao Yan, upon hearing this, no longer hid her greed, directly saying, "After the success, directly transport 30,000 pounds of gold from the island to me." Tang Luan was startled internally. The island's reserves are only around 50,000 pounds of gold. This woman really has a lion's appetite. Even though he was unwilling, he dared not show it on his face and could only respectfully agree to Zhao Yan's terms. Then he asked, "And what about Jean Mulan? Do you want her dead or alive?" At the mention of Jean Mulan, Zhao Yan showed a malicious expression. "The crown prince wants her, then she must be alive. But remember, when the time comes, cripple her martial arts, sever her meridians so she can move and scream." After sending Tang Luan away, Zhao Yan immediately ordered her servants to send an invitation to Jean Mulan. Not until everything was arranged did Zhao Yan show a meaningful smile. Touching the branches of a plum tree, she murmured, "Sister Mulan, when we both followed Master Zhong Chuk, my family faced a catastrophe, while you remained esteemed. Now, with the Jean family on the brink of collapse, not only have I risen again, but I can also control your fate, Jean Mulan." At that moment, a plum branch snapped. Looking at the plum blossom in her hand, Zhao Yan chuckled. "Such twists of fate are quite interesting, aren't they?" Meanwhile, in Furious Tide's city, Qiu Tianwei stood atop his castle, overlooking his city. Was the pirate king truly loyal to the crown prince, as Tang Luan said? Of course not. He was the pirate king with tens of thousands of pirates under his command. A mere Furious Tide's marquis couldn't satisfy his ambition. He sought a greater empire, to establish a colossal foundation for the Qiu family for centuries. And now, the ancient gold vein on Cliffwatch Island was his opportunity. The great Jean kingdom rose through an ancient gold vein, now standing as the strongest among nations under the Great Flame Empire. With a new ancient gold vein discovered, Qiu Tianwei believed he could achieve the same. But now, with the new year approaching, let the Jean family's lambs enjoy their last new year. In another part of Qiu Yaoer's castle, Su Chanqian carefully asked her master, "Are you sure you no longer wish to listen to Journey of the Monkey to obtain the scriptures?" Qiu Yaoer shook her head. Ever since she found out that Shenlang had written the book, she no longer listened to it. Suddenly, a rapid series of bell tolls sounded from the distant docks, followed by a warship sailing from the direction of Cliffwatch Island towards Furious Tide City. Standing on the pier, Qiu Yaoer and her companions noticed something unusual. It's normal for the lighthouse bell to ring, but such urgent tolling signifies that something bad has happened. As the warship approached, everyone could clearly see the situation on the ship. The deck was densely packed with human heads, and the pirate king's emissary stood in the middle, specifically holding a head in his hand. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, "That's Qiu Zhao's head." The emissary had failed in negotiations. Returning to Furious mysterious Tide City with the heads of Chiu Xiao and 2,000 pirates. In a state of panic, Chiu Tianwei's close confidant immediately informed his master of the news. Upon hearing of his beloved son's death, Chiu Tianwei was struck as if by lightning, frozen in place. How is it possible? My son was highly skilled in martial arts, and he was accompanied by thousands of pirates. How could he have died? Even if Shenlang went mad, the mythical turtle count couldn't possibly follow suit. Without further time to ponder, he hurried to Furious Tide's docks, by then already sealed off by pirates. The scattered heads created a terrifying scene at the dock. Seeing Chiu Xiao's head in the emissary's hands, Chiu Tianwei's whole body trembled. This was his only son, his only heir. Recalling the battle with the Jin family 20 years ago, though he won, he was severely injured, resulting in a permanent loss of fertility, despite retaining male functions. Now, his only lineage was cut off by the Jin family. New grief compounded with old. Chiu Tianwei's heart was like a long-suppressed volcano, ready to erupt. Then, the emissary conveyed Shenlang's message. Master, Shenlang asked me to convey his condolences. He said your son did not die a peaceful death, and then recounted the entire process of how Shenlang tortured Chiu Xiao. Upon hearing the envoy's narrative, Chiu Tianwei clenched his back teeth so hard they nearly shattered. Even with his mouth full of blood, his grief over losing his son was undeniable. At this moment, Chiu Tianwei's face was contorted with rage, bursting forth. I will summon all the armies, all the allies, to wage war on the mythical Turtle Count's mansion. I will have Shenlang cut into 1,000 pieces, to flay and skin every member of the Jin family, making them pay with their lives for my son's death. On the other side, at the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, Zhao Yan's eunuch had also delivered his master's invitation to the Count's mansion. Jean Mulan, holding the unexpected invitation in her hands, couldn't help feeling puzzled and somewhat repelled. Although Zhao Yan was her senior sister, she was also the daughter of the Zhua family from the Peace Pavilion Count's mansion, favored because of her family background. This always gave her a sense of superiority in front of Jean Mulan. Back then, the Lord of Peace Pavilion, Zhua Guanbu, was always active in the court, his position being the general in charge of pacifying the south, a position now held by Zhu Lin. However, a few years ago, for reasons unknown, the Zhua family fell from grace overnight. Zhua Guanbu committed suicide, and the Zhua family was stripped of their titles and lands, with all descendants banned from serving in office ever again. This mysterious change plunged Zhao Yan from the status of a noble daughter to the dust overnight. Yet, 3 years after this upheaval, Zhao Yan re-emerged, not only standing by the crown prince's side, but also becoming his consort. Moreover, with her favor, it seemed as if the ban on the Zhua family had been lifted. Although their titles were not restored, 2 members of the Zhua family had successfully passed the imperial examinations. Still, the downfall of the Zhua family was indeed connected to the Great Flame Empire, and thus became a taboo subject in the court, one that was avoided in discussions. Of course, the specifics of what happened were beyond the comprehension of those at the level of the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, so Jean Mulan knew only this much. Even with Zhao Yan's current status, Jean Mulan had no desire to meet her. Just by looking at the smug face of her trusted servant, you can tell she's someone who looks down on others. Zhao Yan always had an air of superiority, Jean Mulan thought. Now with the crown prince's support, she must be planning to flaunt her status again. With that thought, Jean Mulan flatly rejected the invitation. The eunuch was stunned, not expecting Jean Mulan to disregard his master so boldly. He then spoke with displeasure. Miss Jean Mulan, my master's invitation is something even the prefect of an ordinary county would dream of receiving. You should not be so ungrateful. Mulan impatiently looked at the eunuch, finding that everyone from the crown prince's residence seemed to share the same attitude. Even an eunuch looked down on people. She wondered where their sense of superiority came from. With that thought, Jean Mulan decided not to waste any more time. She turned around and left a message. Sorry, I don't have time. Little Bing, please see the guest out. Then she coolly walked away. The eunuch was left trembling with anger. Look at you, Jean Mulan, just a daughter from a count's mansion, daring to refuse someone from the crown prince's residence. You are truly audacious, but your Jean family's disaster is not far off. Let's see how long you can be proud. He laughed as he left. Little Bing, watching the eunuch leave, couldn't help but make a face behind his back. Stupid eunuch, you're the one who's going to face disaster soon. Dare to curse our count's mansion. Be careful or our young master Shin will bring calamity to your whole family. Time flies, and the new year arrives. In the military camp on Cliffwatch Island, laughter can be heard. Although Shen Lang is also spending the new year on the island, he doesn't indulge in public celebrations, choosing instead to drink and chat with Shin 13 in his room, also to check in on his subordinate. 13, I heard your mother set you up with someone. How do you feel about her? Shin 13, accustomed to Shen Lang's gossipy nature, reluctantly shared his thoughts to have a peaceful new year. She looks fine, but her lips are too thin. The old master consulted face reading and said she's likely mean-spirited, so I don't like her. Shen Lang jokingly responded, if you don't like her, then don't force it. Once this is over, I'll have my mother-in-law introduce you to someone with thicker lips. Seems like you know your stuff. According to face reading, if the upper lip is thick, Shin 13 was speechless. My master, why always head towards such topics? But remember, no matter how beautiful a woman is, never grovel. Grovelers have no future. Look at Jin Hui in front of his wife. I can't stand it. Unbeknownst to them, Jin Hui was standing outside at that moment. He initially came to offer Shenlang a toast, but hearing his master speaking ill of him, he dared not enter. He couldn't let Shenlang know he overheard the gossip, or he would be resented. Inside the room, 13 was still silently enduring his master's incessant chatter after drinking. He couldn't understand why someone as wise and brilliant seemed to become so gossip-minded and vulgar when drunk. After a while, Jin Hui, pretending to be in a hurry, entered with a jug of wine. Young Master Shen, I've come to offer you a toast. Shenlang glanced at him and asked, Jin Hui, you didn't hear me speaking ill of you just now, did you? Jin Hui quickly responded, Young Master Shen is a paragon of virtue. How could you speak ill of me behind my back? Every word you say to me is an encouragement for my life. Hearing this, Shenlang turned to Shen 13. Did you hear that? He even heard me speaking ill of him, or he wouldn't be flattering me like this. Seeing this, Jin Hui was almost spitting blood. Master, can't you let me have a peaceful new year? In his nervousness, Jin Hui hurriedly expressed his loyalty to Shenlang, who then smiled without saying anything and turned to bring out a box containing perfume, soap, and shampoo. This is your New Year's bonus, you bootlicker. Take it to please your wife. Jin Hui was stunned, then touched deeply. These are premium items only available to the ladies and madam of the mansion, personally made by young Master Shen, not even purchasable with money. Moved nearly to tears, Jin Hui continuously expressed his loyalty to Shenlang, who scoffed, Look at how spineless you are. You should learn from me. Though my wife is highly skilled in martial arts, in my presence, she wouldn't dare defy me. I tell her to go east, and she wouldn't dare go west. If I scold her, she wouldn't dare retaliate. A woman must be disciplined, or else it's chaos within 3 days. However, as soon as his words fell, a beautiful figure walked through the door. Jean Mulan, with a half-smiling, half-serious expression, approached Shenlang. Husband, I've only heard of the saying, a man left unchecked will cause chaos within 3 days. Seeing this, Jin Hui and Shen 13, without saying a word, silently waved their hands at their formidable young Master Shen, showing an expression of wishing him luck, and then quickly made their escape. Shenlang, seeing his two betrayers leave, quickly put on a pitiful look and said, Wife, I've missed you so much. We've been apart for exactly 74 hours. I was just showing off in front of them. If you're upset, feel free to hit me. I promise I won't make a sound. Mulan looked at him speechlessly, thinking to herself how this cunning man had figured she wouldn't bear to hit him. Seizing the opportunity, Shenlang embraced Mulan, kissing her passionately, letting all the longing and desire of the past days meld into this kiss. After the impassioned embrace, Mulan's face blushed, but she too had missed Shenlang. Otherwise, she wouldn't have traveled several hours on New Year's Eve to see this unfaithful man. Suddenly, Mulan remembered the wounds on Shenlang's body, to which Shenlang assured her, they've already scabbed over, it's no big deal. But Mulan was adamant in not continuing. That's still not okay. We have to wait until the scabs have completely fallen off. Otherwise, you'll start howling again. Reluctantly, Shenlang had to suppress his urge, spending half an hour in tender proximity with Mulan before she left to return home, weary from the journey. As fireworks lit up the island sky, New Year's Eve came to an end. Now, on the 4th day of the first lunar month, all the pirates in Furious Tide City were on war alert. Within Qiu Tianwei's mansion, his foster son, Qiu Hao, after learning of Qiu Zhao's death, returned from the Isle of Gold Mountain to Furious Tide City, volunteering to lead troops against Cliffwatch Island. Qiu Tianwei, upon hearing Qiu Hao's proposition, immediately scolded him. Cliffwatch Island is not your concern. You know, the Isle of Gold Mountain, rich in iron ore, is of utmost importance to us and cannot be neglected. As the main general, how can you abandon your post? For some reason, Qiu Hao insisted on participating in this revenge battle due to his brotherly bond with Qiu Xiao. Seeing Qiu Hao's defiance, Qiu Tianwei became very angry and scolded. This is the last time I'm telling you. Go back, guard your Isle of Gold Mountain and return there now. After saying this, he turned away and refused to listen to any more pleas. Seeing Qiu Tianwei's determined attitude, Qiu Hao had no choice but to comply with tears in his eyes and a reluctant heart, returning to the Isle of Gold Mountain. Unexpectedly, someone was already waiting in a secret room in Qiu Hao's camp. Zhang Chuanhua's voice, both soft and mocking, said, looking at your expression, it seems you've returned without success. Now you see, the Lord of Furious Tide City does not allow you to participate in the Battle of Cliffwatch Island, but this is your only chance to rise to power. Perhaps we could. Before she could finish, Qiu Hao interrupted, Miss Zhang, my adoptive father's orders were clear, to guard the Isle of Gold Mountain. If I disobey and make a wrong move, it would be catastrophic. Everyone knows that the Jin family's main forces are defending Cliffwatch Island, and yet you tell me Shenlang's target is Furious Tide City. How can I believe that? Zhang Chunhua looked at him and smiled. If I came to you, I'm absolutely certain of my information. The opportunity one bring to you is yours to believe or not. If this succeeds, you will be the future Furious Tide's marquis. This is not only a promise from my father, but also from Zhu Rong, the governor. If you don't believe me now, it's not too late to believe when the situation becomes clear. But I still advise you, General, it's always good to be prepared. Time flew, and it was already the 13th day of the first month. At a house located 200 miles north of of mythical turtle count's mansion. Prefect Zhang, dressed in military attire, stood before a map, analyzing the strategic plan for the battle. When he mentioned Cliffwatch Island is a trap set by Shenlang, whose real aim is Furious Tide City, the 5 generals present were shocked. They couldn't believe that Shenlang, a mere son-in-law, could shake mythical turtle count into investing such a huge cost in a trap to target Qiu Tianwei. They were even more astonished by his ambition, aiming to take down Furious Tide City with his own strength. Zhang Chong continued, this time, mythical turtle count will surely deploy all elite soldiers to Furious Tide City, and Shenlang's plan will also prompt Qiu Tianwei to lead a massive army to attack Cliffwatch Island. At that time, the city's defense, under Qiu Yaoer's command, will not exceed 3,000 troops. A fierce battle between Shenlang and Qiu Yaoer is inevitable. Although no one can breach the main castle with Qiu Yaoer defending, I believe that with Shenlang's intelligence, he must have already pinpointed Qiu Yaoer's weakness and prepared everything, waiting to deliver the fatal blow. Once the Jin family takes down Furious Tide City, the new policy in New River will completely fail, allowing them to rise again amidst the crisis. With the nest overturned, none of us will be spared, but this is also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance for us to be the mantis catching the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. You, several thousand elite troops, must disperse and head to Gold Mountain Island first, under the guise of supporting the pirate forces, then proceed to Furious Tide City. Then, we will annihilate both the Jin and Qiu families, restoring peace to the eastern seas, and seize Thunderous Isle for our sovereign. The day when you will all be honored and promoted is within reach. With Zhang Chang's words boosting their morale, the generals raised their bowls to drink the wine symbolizing their impending victory, then smashed their bowls with determination. Generals, begin preparing for battle. Moments later, led by Zhang Chong, the generals went to the military training grounds viewing platform, overseeing the 6,000 elite troops of New River County below. Despite the freezing outdoor conditions, the troops stood fully armored in silence. Then, Zhang Chong issued the command, all generals, to your ships, set sail. 2 hours later, 20 warships set off towards Isle of Gold Mountain. They needed to quickly coordinate with Qiu Hao, then change their outfits on the island and proceed to Furious Tide City under the name of Qiu Hao's army. Meanwhile, Shenlang was also making moves. He led all the masters of mythical turtle count's mansion on an inconspicuous cargo ship towards Furious Tide City to execute his plan undetected. Over the past month and a half, he had already transported over 2,000 elite troops to Furious Tide City in batches using cargo ships, positioning them at various strategic locations. Jin Hui approached Shenlang and asked, Young Master Shen, leaving Count alone with 2,000 new recruits to defend Cliffwatch Island against Qiu Tianwei's 30,000 troops, won't there be any issues? Shenlang confidently reassured, don't worry, it will be fine. With me here, they won't even have a chance for a head-on confrontation. Jin Shuring also expressed his concerns. Young Master Shen, I don't mean to doubt you, but attacking the fortress of Furious Tide City, which is already difficult to conquer, and now with Qiu Yaoer in charge, even with 20,000 elite troops, it won't be easy. Now that all our elite troops and masters are here, failure would mean the end for mythical turtle count's mansion. Before Shenlang could respond, Divine Healer Nzaishi approached. Young Master Shen, the person you requested is here. Upon hearing Nzaishi's words, Shenlang immediately instructed Jin Hui and Jin Shuring to step aside. Shortly after, a figure in a black cloak approached Shenlang and reported, Young Master Shen, I have completed the investigation on who is behind poisoning Qiu Yaoer. As you suspected, it was him. The person reporting to Shenlang was none other than Nzaiqian, Qiu Tianwei's alchemist, who is also the elder brother of Nzaishi. Their father had died at the hands of Qiu Tianwei during the battle 20 years ago. Nzaiqian continued, the preparations Young Master Shen assigned to me are all set. Unfortunately, although I've been undercover by Qiu Tianwei's side for over a decade, I never found the opportunity to avenge our father, nor have I managed to become one of his trusted insiders, so I might not be able to assist you much. Shenlang reassured him with a smile, don't worry, as long as you complete the task I've given you, you'll be the greatest hero of the Jin family. Meanwhile, Tang Luan's mansion was also gearing up for battle. The 3,000 private soldiers of the Tang family were arrayed neatly on the beach. At Tang Luan's command, change the flags. Dozens of Qiu family flags were suddenly displayed. Conducting open warfare as nobles within the country would inevitably provoke the sovereign's intervention, but if they operated under the guise of pirates, there would be no concern. Then, Tang Luan began to stir his troops with promises of wealth. Gentlemen, an ancient gold vein has been discovered on Cliffwatch Island. Currently, the Jin family has only 4,000 troops guarding it, while we have a coalition of 30,000. This battle will be a breeze. After our victory, each soldier will receive 20 gold coins, and for every member of the Jin family you kill, you'll earn an additional 15 gold coins. The time has come for you to enrich yourselves. Let's flatten Cliffwatch Island with our valor. His words ignited the fire within the Tang family's private army. Jin High Count revealed a sinister smile. Shenlang, Jin Zhua, your days of comfort are over. Wait for the Tang family to annihilate your clan. Under the leadership of the Tang family's eldest son, Tan Zong. These soldiers will head to the eastern seas to meet with Qiu Tianwei's pirate armada and together proceed to Cliff Watch Island. Meanwhile, on the coast of Furious Tide City, hundreds of various pirate ships, flying the Qiu family's flags, gathered at the Furious Tide City port. The sight was seemingly endless. Standing on the dock's high platform, Qiu Tianwei couldn't help feeling proud as he observed the massive fleet. This scene is much larger than the battle against Jin you count 20 years ago. Back then, I only had over 5,000 pirates under my command, but now I can summon an army of 30,000 with a simple wave of my hand. As long as we take Cliff Watch Island, the Qiu's hegemony will truly become a legacy lasting hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Only, my poor son Qiu Xiao will no longer see that glorious moment. But fortunately, my alchemist in Zaiqian, I don't know where he got the medicine from, but it has allowed me to show my prowess again and made a woman by my side pregnant. As long as I can have children, I won't worry about having no successor. Then, he turned to look at Qiu Yaoer beside him, feeling a sense of regret in his heart. I originally intended to raise Qiu Yaoer and then make her my woman, but unexpectedly, she has grown into a rebellious and ruthless woman. Otherwise, with the offspring produced by me and her, we would surely have a domineering king or lord. Resigned, Qiu Tianwei cheered himself up and shouted loudly, "Open all the chests." As his words fell, chest after chest of gleaming gold coins were revealed to all the pirates present. Brothers, here is 350,000 gold coins of starting funds for everyone. Today, we will break the old system and distribute it to everyone right now. Upon hearing these words, the pirates were instantly stirred up. Then, Qiu Tianwei continued to incite the greed of these pirates. Brothers, these are just appetizers. On Cliff Watch Island, there are 100,000 pounds of gold, information for which my son Qiu Xiao paid with his life. But the Jin family, our defeated foes, do not deserve this gold. It should belong to our pirate clan. Brothers, let's take up our swords, conquer Cliff Watch Island, kill all the Jin men, take their women, and reclaim the gold that rightfully belongs to us. As his words ended, the pirates, already lured by the gold on Cliff Watch Island, became even more spirited, with cries of battle echoing. Seeing the moment right, Qiu Tianwei gave a sweeping order. All pirates, to your positions, set off. Instantly, more than 100 warships boldly made their way towards Cliff Watch Island. On the dock, Qiu Yaoer looked on with disdain at the scene. For her, these pirates were scum, but as they were her adoptive father's men, she could not kill them, owing to her gratitude for his life-saving grace and upbringing. If not for this, she would have long fled far away with her 2,000 direct subordinates. At this moment, Qiu Tianwei approached her and asked, "Yaoer, will these 3,000 warriors be enough for you to manage Furious Tide City?" Qiu Yaoer, expressionless, simply replied with 2 words, "Too many." Seeing her attitude, Qiu Tianwei could only laugh awkwardly, admitting he had been overly concerned. Then, Qiu Yaoer suddenly said to him, "Adoptive father, after you return triumphant from this great battle, I will leave." Hearing this, Qiu Tianwei frowned and then turned, waving his hand, "Let's postpone this discussion until I return." He definitely could not agree to this request. Even if he could not have Qiu Yaoer as a person, he absolutely could not allow her to leave. Then, he boarded the largest warship, Cliff Watch Island. "Here we come, Furious Tide City. Wait for my triumphant return." Qiu Yaoer watched the departing warships, understanding her adoptive father's intentions. Yet, her mind was made up about leaving. With this thought, she turned and led her subordinates towards the governor's mansion. Once back, Qiu Yaoer began arranging for her guards to bolster the defenses, with orders that no one could enter or leave the castle without her command. For some reason, she felt Shenlang might have plans for Furious Tide City. Even if Qiu Tianwei hadn't anticipated Shenlang's sudden attack on Furious Tide City, her instinct as a woman convinced her that Shenlang would indeed come. Moreover, touching her stomach gently, she noted her menstrual cycle had yet to commence this month. Even if there was a child, she hoped Shenlang wouldn't come, but if he did, she would have no choice but to let him die here. After setting up all the defenses for Furious Tide City, it was already afternoon. Su Chanqian, who was accompanying Qiu Yaoer, suddenly asked, "General, do you like children?" Caught off guard, Qiu Yaoer counter-asked, "Have you been observing my menstrual cycle, noticing that I haven't had it this month? It's been almost a month since that night. Do you also think I might be pregnant?" Su Chanqian hurriedly explained, "Shenlang mentioned that due to the high levels of heavy metals in your body, it would be difficult for you to conceive. Moreover, since the last bloodletting treatment, you've done it twice more by yourself, which could affect your menstrual cycle. So, it's normal if it hasn't come. But, General, do you really think Shenlang will lead troops to attack Furious Tide City?" Upon hearing the question, Qiu Yaoer stared at Su Chanqian and then said, "Shenlang will come. He will definitely lead Jin's elite soldiers to seize Furious Tide City." Su Chanqian was shocked. The Jin family's elite warriors barely number over 2,000. To think they can capture Furious Tide City is simply ludicrous. Qiu Yaoer looked at her coldly. "So, he's pinned his hopes on you, wanting you to find an opportunity to poison me or create chaos among my people. Isn't that right?" Hearing Qiu Yaoer's analysis, Su Chanqian was on the verge of tears, swearing to heaven her loyalty to Qiu Yaoer. But since she was indeed sent by Shenlang, She had no way to defend herself. Qiu Yaoer continued, I won't kill you, but to avoid suspicion, I'll have someone prepare a room for you, and you must not leave it under any circumstances, or you will be executed. Without considering Su Qianqian's explanation, Qiu Yaoer had her taken away and placed under house arrest. Then, she ordered for Enziqian to be brought to her for a medical examination. Shortly after, Enziqian appeared before Qiu Yaoer. Doctor, I've been feeling unwell recently, please examine me. However, as Enziqian was about to take her pulse, she calmly requested, please check if I'm pregnant. Enziqian was almost speechless with shock. Though surprised, he composed himself and seriously took her pulse, never imagining that the man involved with Qiu Yaoer could be his true master, Shenlang. After a moment, Enziqian respectfully said, General, your pulse is extremely erratic and complex. With my limited medical knowledge, I really can't make a diagnosis. Qiu Yaoer nodded and then ordered, take this doctor and confine him just like Su Qianqian, not to leave the room under any circumstances. Enziqian was shocked. Has my identity been exposed? With confusion, he still voiced his doubts. Miss, why? Qiu Yaoer, unaware of Enziqian's true identity, simply sensed that there was no gold mine on Cliffwatch Island, yet this doctor had been persuading her adoptive father that there was an ancient gold vein, hence the suspicion. Qiu Yaoer said, you've been treating me for years, and never before have you behaved as fearfully as you did today. Clearly, you know something, which is why you're acting so abnormally. At this point, Enziqian still wanted to defend himself, but Qiu Yaoer had no interest in listening and simply ordered him to be placed under house arrest. As night fell, the snowflakes drifting in the sky adorned the sea like scattered stars. The 30,000 pirates under the sea pirate king Qiu Tianwei and the 3,000 private soldiers of the Tang family had, after a day's journey, finally converged near Cliffwatch Island. It was evident from the sporadic lights on the island that the island's defenders had spotted the approaching enemies and were working overnight to fortify their defenses. Early the next day, with the snow still showing no signs of stopping, Qiu Tianwei stood at the bow of his ship and commanded, prepare the pirate army for landing. We must annihilate everyone on the island and seize Cliffwatch Island. As his words echoed, the tens of thousands of pirates aboard the ships once again erupted in fervor, eager to raid the island and seize the gold. At this moment on the island, the forces led by the mythical turtle count appeared to number in the thousands, yet only about 500 were truly fit for service. After all, Shenlang had taken almost all the elite troops to Furious Tide City, leaving behind only recruits who had just joined and had no actual combat experience. As the pirates drew closer, the recruits on the island began to grow nervous. The veteran captain looked at a recruit trembling like a sieve next to him and couldn't help but mock. What a cowardly disappointment. You're tall, but you have the courage of a chicken. After saying this, he grabbed a handful of snow and stuffed it into his mouth. However, the more he chewed, the more wrong the taste became. Why is this snow salty? At that moment, the cowardly recruit cautiously said, Captain, I just urinated there. Hearing this, the furious veteran captain stood up to beat him, while those around burst into laughter, easing the tense atmosphere. The mythical turtle count also took this opportunity to encourage the recruits. Lads, don't be afraid or panic. As long as you do what we've taught you, there won't be any problems. Besides, we've rehearsed dozens of times these days. Just treat this real combat as one of our drills. Just then, a lookout on the watchtower shouted, the enemy is 5 miles, 3 miles, 2 miles from the island. Yet, when they were just a mile away, the pirates couldn't wait any longer and jumped off their ships, plunging into the icy sea water. Numerous frenzied pirates shouted as they rushed toward the shore, brothers, attack. The countless gold on the island is first come, first served. Tan Zong, on the ship, watched the pirates, who were more interested in treasure than their own lives. Disdain in his heart. What a bunch of madmen. Aren't they afraid of freezing to death by jumping into the sea in such cold weather? The mythical turtle count, seeing this, fearlessly ordered the troops to set up the first line of defense. At his command, fire the arrows. However, the performance of these novices in real combat left much to be desired. With the enemy 200 meters away, the recruits' arrows fell short, barely reaching a few dozen meters, and landed on the beach near them, causing 0 damage to the enemy. This lackluster display of combat power immediately became the subject of mockery by the pirates. These trash have shorter range than my pea. The situation further fueled the pirates' raiding impulse, and they charged towards the defense line with machetes in hand. Seeing the pirates drawing closer, the mythical turtle count ordered a second round of attack. This time, they managed to cause single-digit casualties among the pirates. However, their aim was so poor that they hardly hit any vital spots. For these battle-hardened pirates, such arrow wounds were virtually negligible unless vital spots were hit. Some crazed pirates even pulled the arrows out of their arms with their bare hands and continued to charge at the soldiers' defense line with ferocious faces. The recruits, having never seen such a spectacle, were immediately terrified. One of them shouted, "Help, run," and turned to flee towards the rear. The rest of the recruits, coming to their senses, also ran back. Seeing this, the mythical turtle count was furious and drew his great sword, roaring, "None of you are allowed to retreat. Deserters will be executed on the spot." shot. With that, he directly killed 2 people nearby. Of course, these weren't real soldiers. The reason for this act was merely to make the play more convincing, letting the pirates think that the soldiers of the mythical Turtle Count's mansion were cowardly and afraid of death. Then, the mythical Turtle Count, with a look of reluctance, glanced back at the approaching pirates and waved his hand, shouting, "Fall back to the mines. We must defend the gold at all costs." When the pirates nearby heard the mythical Turtle Count mention gold, they became excited. Seeing how weak the Kim soldiers were made the pirates chase after them even more fervently. However, this entire setup raised doubts in Qiu Tianwei, who had been watching from a higher vantage point. He then asked Tan Zong, "Are the Jin soldiers really this feeble?" Tan Zong was also puzzled. After the clash at the Isle of Gold Mountain, the Jin soldiers should be even stronger than our Tang family's troops. This deepened Qiu Tianwei's suspicions. If they are stronger than the Tang family, why did they collapse at the slightest touch? Could there be some trickery involved? At that moment, the mythical Turtle Count also changed his strategy. He suddenly roared, "Leave 500 men with me to cover the retreat of the main force." As his voice fell, Jin's 500 elite instantly formed an iron defense line, their morale fully charged. Unlike before, this time, with the resonant sound of bowstrings, each arrow shot out was fierce, with hardly any misses. They moved fluidly, drawing and releasing arrows within 3 seconds. Though there were only 500 elites, they were more effective than the previous thousands of recruits. This was the true strength of the Jin's elite. Quickly, in just over 10 minutes, the pirates on the beach suffered heavy casualties, numbering in the hundreds. This powerful scene was also fully witnessed by Qiu Tianwei. Just one breath to shoot a heavy arrow, and in 10 breaths, you've killed hundreds of my men. But what of it? I have tens of thousands of pirates. You may have the upper hand in ranged combat, but can you handle close combat? Finally, the first wave of thousands of pirates broke through the defense line, and the 500 elite warriors neatly drew their swords for defense. Then, with a crisp shout of attack, the Battle of Cliffwatch Island officially began. However, when the pirates swung their first sword, they immediately noticed the strength of the Kim's equipment. The pirate swords broke upon impact, and their strikes left only marks on the armor, shocking the group of pirates. Yet, after their initial astonishment, all the pirates' faces turned fierce again, and they collectively focused their efforts to strike at the Jin's warriors. Qiu Tianwei, witnessing all this, couldn't help but be amazed. To think that 500 soldiers, relying solely on their advantageous position, could withstand the attack of 2,000 pirates. The Jin's elite are indeed formidable. At this moment, Tan Zong said, "This is the true strength of the Jin soldiers." The mythical Turtle Count expanded too quickly and recruited too many new troops, who are not only useless in actual combat, but can also ruin everything. Fortunately, he does not have many elite troops at the moment, so taking them down is still feasible. On the other side, the mythical Turtle Count, watching his 500 elite soldiers battling against thousands of pirates and managing to hold their own, breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, true combat power is only shown on the battlefield. It seems that a strategy focusing on elite troops is correct. Numbers are useless. However, no matter how formidable the 500 elite troops were, their strength was ultimately limited. As more and more pirates swarmed in, they soon surrounded them. Jin Zhong, seeing this, immediately reported the situation to the mythical Turtle Count, who acted according to plan without hesitation, choosing to break through and retreat to the mines. Upon receiving the order, the more than 400 elite troops immediately changed formation and began to break out. Soon, after losing a few dozen lives, the mythical Turtle Count and his soldiers successfully broke through. Seeing this from a distance, Tan Zong's eyes showed a hint of mockery. A siege by more than 3,000 pirates was resisted for less than a quarter of an hour before being broken by a few hundred men. These pirates lack discipline. Thus, facing a regular army, no matter how brave they are, they stand no chance. If it were my Tang family army, it would not be so easily defeated. Qiu Tianwei also began to reflect. I had thought that the naval battle I won 20 years ago with 5,000 pirates was because the Jin's army was weak. Only after today's battle did I realize that the Jin soldiers are simply not skilled in naval warfare. After taking Cliffwatch Island, I must also properly train my pirates to become a regular army. Thinking this, Qiu Tianwei raised his great sword and shouted, "All pirates, reform the ranks." This sudden command made the pirates, who were in the heat of battle, pause abruptly, leading to extreme dissatisfaction among some of them. Why stop? I still want to loot the gold. At the moment, if it weren't for some undercover warriors from the Tang family keeping order, it's very likely that the pirates would have fought over the gold. Even so, getting 30,000 pirates to form ranks took more than an hour to assemble successfully. Seeing his pirates rush in such a disorderly manner, Qiu Tianwei frowned, but now was not the time to train the forces. Eliminating the Jin family and taking over the mine was the priority. Half an hour later, the pirates finally arrived at the mine. However, what they saw shocked them. Such a vast and bottomless pit was something they had never seen before. Though Qiu Tianwei was also astonished, he steadied his mindset and went forward to observe the terrain below. He saw that the mythical Turtle Count's army of over 4,000 was hiding in the caves on the mine shafts, and outside the caves, there were piles of gold sand, barely visible under the snow. Qiu Tianwei turned to Tan Zong and said, "It seems the mythical turtle count intends to hold out at the bottom of the mine. However, this place is easy to defend, but hard to attack, which could be troublesome." But Tan Zong believed there's only one way out of the pit. The mythical turtle count and his men guarding here are merely waiting for their demise. At this moment, the pirates nearby also stretched their necks to look down. Although they did not see gold bricks or nuggets, they saw gold sand shining through the snow-covered mine sand. Just then, a young pirate came running with a handful of gold sand to show off his achievement. "Master, this is the mine sand I risked my life to get. Please take a look." When Qiu Tianwei picked up the gold sand, he was completely shocked. "My God, I have never seen mine soil with such a high gold content. This must be an ancient gold vein. Ordinary gold mines do not produce so much gold sand. If extracted, this could amount to tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of pounds of gold." Tan Zong, of course, also saw the high-quality mine soil and could hardly contain his excitement, wanting to lead his troops directly into the mine to annihilate the Jin family and seize this ancient gold vein. However, the more experienced Qiu Tianwei calmed down upon seeing the huge pit, sensing something unusual. "No, we just need to lay siege without attacking. There's only one exit right now. The ancient gold vein cannot escape, and neither can these thousands of people, no matter what they do. Shenlang is a vicious and cunning beast. What if he has set traps below this giant pit?" Although Tan Zong felt Qiu Tianwei was being overly cautious, even his father feared this pirate king, so he could only comply with silent anger. At this time, Qiu Tianwei walked to the edge of the mine, looking down at the mythical turtle count. "Eye to eye, mythical turtle count, we will be guarding you from above. Without food and fresh water, let's see how long you can last down there." Half a day later, the Jin soldiers below seemed to be getting anxious. Jin Shiring, looking up at the pirates, asked the mythical turtle count, "Master, what do we do if Qiu Tianwei's army just guards the mine entrance and doesn't come down?" The mythical turtle count remained calm. "Don't worry, as long as we follow Shenlang's plan step by step, these pirates will definitely fall into the trap. So far, all of Qiu Tianwei's actions have matched Shenlang's predictions. Trust him, he will not be wrong." Indeed, Shenlang has never lost a psychological battle. As long as Qiu Tianwei is greedy enough, he will fall into the trap, and it won't be a long wait. On the other side, Shenlang arrived at Furious Tide City today. With Qiu Tianwei taking away the pirate army and Qiu Yao only guarding the castle, the streets were filled with looting and violence. Even those still doing business had bodyguards standing at the entrance, and those who couldn't afford bodyguards didn't dare leave their homes. Furious Tide City had completely fallen into chaos. A moment later, Shenlang and a few others arrived at the Jin family's stronghold in Furious Tide City. Upon entering, Shenlang immediately ordered, without a moment's rest, to assemble all personnel hidden within the city to start preparing to attack the main government building of Furious Tide City. Meanwhile, on Cliff Watch Island, the Alliance's two leaders were arguing due to a difference in opinion. Qiu Tianwei's overly cautious and careful attitude frustrated Tan Zong. He couldn't understand why such a renowned pirate king was acting so cowardly, especially when a tremendous fortune was right in front of them, yet he refused to agree to attack in one fell swoop. At the same time, several pirate leaders who also didn't understand Qiu Tianwei's actions gathered to discuss the matter. One hot-headed pirate said, "Brothers, there are mountains of gold sand beneath us. Why won't the boss let us go down and kill? Do you think he has other plans? Is he afraid we'll steal the gold? Maybe he wants to starve the Turtle Count's army to death and then secretly send his trusted experts to take all the gold. When we rush down, he'll say the Turtle Count had already transported the gold away." At these words, everyone got angry, fueled by alcohol, and shouted, "We're here to get rich. The king can't block our way to wealth." This shout sobered up the others, who were well aware that if these words reached Qiu Tianwei's ears, they would be dead. Then, the hot-headed pirate suddenly added, "The demoness isn't here. What are you guys afraid of?" At this, the room fell silent. The next second, they realized, why are we afraid of the Qiu family? Isn't it because of Qiu Yao, the invincible general? Since the demoness isn't here, let's send a representative to talk to the boss about attacking the Jin family. Then, everyone looked at the hot-headed pirate. "Brother, among us, you're the best. You should go talk to the boss. We'll support you from the side." Moments later, this hothead actually ran to Qiu Tianwei and started to persuade him, "Boss, although we are besieging the mythical Turtle Count's troops, our own supplies are almost exhausted. With our forces now 10 times greater than the mythical Turtle Count's and under your wise and brave leadership, isn't this the perfect opportunity to take them down?" Qiu Tianwei, after listening, did not speak but just quietly watched the hothead continue, "Boss, with just one command from you, it wouldn't take an hour for us to annihilate all 4,000 of the mythical Turtle Count's troops. Please don't hesitate any longer." Then, Qiu Tianwei stood up and walked over to the fool. "Are you suggesting that I am holding off the attack to hoard the gold for myself, and that since the demoness Qiu Yao is not here, everyone should not fear me, the pirate king, too much?" Hearing this, the hothead immediately broke into a sweat. "Damn it, which cursed traitor sold me out? Where's the pirate's honor?" Before he could unravel his doubts, Qiu Tianwei shouted angrily, "This man has disturbed our military military heart. Take him out and behead him. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 guards grabbed him. No matter how much he begged for mercy, it was of no use. Soon, a crisp sound echoed outside the camp, and the hothead was decapitated, a scene that turned the faces of several pirate leaders on site pale with fear. Then, Chiu Tianwei slowly turned around and coldly warned everyone, "From now on, if anyone dares to question my military orders, this will be their fate." The pirates, scared nearly to the point of wetting themselves, all nodded in agreement, daring not to voice any more objections. Of course, Chiu Tianwei knew that although he had temporarily suppressed the opinions of these pirate leaders, their greed for gold could not be suppressed. He needed to find a way to divert their attention. Starting the next day, Chiu Tianwei ordered the pirates to launch verbal attacks and use provocative tactics against the Jin family. These pirates, naturally vulgar, were shameless in their insults, directly targeting everyone in the mine pit, insulting the entire family of the mythical turtle count. Hearing such indecent abuse, the Jin soldiers were nearly exploding with anger, especially Jin Zhong, who, upon hearing the insults directed at his goddess, Jin Mulan, was furious and ready to charge out and teach these scoundrels a lesson. The mythical turtle count was also furious. He had always treasured Lady Jean as a jewel in his life, but today she was defiled by these filthy pirates. He wished he could tear them to pieces immediately. However, he restrained his anger, understanding that impatience could spoil greater plans. Seeing that verbal provocation was ineffective, Chiu Tianwei started an even more twisted scheme. He ordered some handsome young men from the ship, dressed them in the clothes of Shenlang, Jean Mulan, and Lady Jean, and began role-playing. Then, he tied them with ropes, making them crawl on the ground like dogs, and eventually escalated to more extreme acts of role-playing abuse. Watching all this unfold, he was so angry that he almost twisted his face in rage, nearly crushing his back teeth. He couldn't understand how these pirates could insult the Jean family to such an extent and why the master still chose to endure. Unexpectedly, the next day, the pirates tied up the young man playing Shenlang to a pole and executed him by dismemberment. Watching these blood-soaked pirates with ferocious expressions was chilling. They could no longer be called human. They were more like a group of perverted demons. Suddenly, a young pirate pointed down into the pit and shouted, "Boss, the Jin family soldiers have disappeared." Chiu Tianwei was shocked and quickly pushed through the crowd towards the mine entrance. But when he saw the empty pit, he was stunned. Not only was there not a single person left, but even the temporary buildings had been dismantled. All that was left was the countless gold, sand, and ore at the bottom of the pit. What's going on? There's only this one exit. Where could the mythical turtle count and his 4,000 people have gone? Something's not right. People can't just disappear. This must be a plot by Shenlang. Suddenly, he noticed the pirates around him, as if possessed, greedily staring at the exposed gold sand in the pit and laughing foolishly. At that moment, a pirate from some squad roared, "Brothers, there's no one left below. The gold is up for grabs." Upon hearing this, a large number of pirates rushed towards the bottom of the mine, ignoring any orders from Chiu Tianwei. Seeing the situation completely out of control and knowing he couldn't manage the subordinates of other pirate leaders, he was forced to restrain his own 10,000 direct troops from descending. He was certain the mysterious disappearance of the Jin's 4,000 troops was a trap and couldn't risk it. At the Tang family's camp above, anxious warriors filled the area, all closely watching the pirates scrambling for gold below, uncertain of what to do. Eventually, someone couldn't resist and went to ask Tan Zong, "General, are we just going to watch these pirates take all the gold?" Tan Zong was also in turmoil. He could tell there was something off about the situation below and that rashly charging down might walk into a trap. However, not participating meant watching the greedy pirates take all the gold, possibly leaving nothing for them. By this time, the pirates who ran down first had begun stripping off their clothes, desperately filling them with mine soil, unaware that the soil, which seemed to be all gold sand, actually contained only a small amount of gold dust. Most of it was brass. Hearing the unceasing sounds of excitement, Tan Zong couldn't hold back any longer and shouted, "All troops, charge! Take the gold!" The moment he shouted, 3,000 Tang private soldiers surged down like a flood, joining the gold rush. Meanwhile, Chiu Tianwei's direct troops stood behind, watching their comrades seizing what seemed like hundreds of thousands in gold, feeling unbearably agitated. Eventually, they couldn't stand it any longer and shouted, "Boss, stop hesitating. If we don't act now, all the gold will be gone." However, Chiu Tianwei still refused to give the go-ahead. He was tempted by the gold and wanted it, but the sudden disappearance of people was too suspicious, clearly a trap. Seeing Chiu Tianwei remain silent, several old pirates from his direct lineage lost their patience and charged down. When others saw someone taking the lead, the rest of the pirates followed suit, leading to the complete disintegration of Chiu Tianwei's direct forces. And indeed, there were no traps set below. But now, in the eyes of these pirates, there was no sense of comradeship or brotherly loyalty, and they soon began to fight each other. Chiu Tianwei, watching the scene unfold, thought to himself, "I have to go down now." After returning, a massive purge is necessary. Then, he rushed to a high platform and shouted, "All guards of the city lord's mansion, come out and maintain order. All the gold seized by anyone must be handed over for a unified distribution according to proportion. Anyone found hiding gold will be executed without mercy. Soon, under the suppression led by Chiu Tianwei himself and his guards, order was finally restored among the over 30,000 pirates. After everything settled down, he walked to the pile of gold and looked around. As expected, no traps or ambushes. It seems I overestimated Shenlang. He then picked up a handful of mine soil, examining the gold sand within, a smug expression on his face. With this ancient gold vein, the Chiu family will rise. Mythical turtle count. Don't think you can escape with your troops through the secret tunnel. As long as you are on this island, I will ensure the extermination of the Jin family in vengeance for my son. Just then, a series of explosions sounded from above the mine, followed by flying debris hitting the people below. This sudden event caused all the pirates in the pit to panic. Where's the explosion coming from? Where's the explosion? Seeing this, Chiu Tianwei immediately gathered all pirates to prepare for defense and enter combat mode. Soon, a pirate came to inform Chiu Tianwei the explosion has destroyed all the pathways leading up. Chiu Tianwei seemed unsurprised by this news. As expected, it was a trap. But so what? How can your mere 4,000 Jin forces withstand my 30,000? But before he could devise a countermeasure, another explosion occurred above the mine, and this time, a huge hole was blasted at the mine entrance. Torrential seawater burst through the hole and, like a waterfall, poured into the mine mixed with debris. At this moment, the pirates were in complete panic. The sea was at least a mile away. How could water have gotten here? It turns out, Shenlang had already designed a secret tunnel inside the pit. When the pirates lowered their guard, the mythical turtle count led his troops out of the tunnel and sealed it with sand and stone. Once the pirates stepped into the trap, explosives buried in advance were detonated, destroying the stairs and turning the mine into a giant container. As for the seawater, a tunnel had already been dug, simply covered by a thin layer of stone. The mythical turtle count's roar echoed from above the pit. Chiu Tianwei, it's over for you. Today marks the end for you beasts. Hearing this, the pirates realized that Jin soldiers had surrounded the pit's entrance. As the water level rose, countless pirates began climbing higher, some even trying to scale the icy walls. However, the cold had frozen the walls, and with Jin soldiers throwing stones and shooting arrows from above, those attempting to climb fell back down. Chiu Tianwei was furious. Shenlang, you're truly ruthless. Such a scheme could not have been thought up by the mythical turtle count. It was you, definitely you. On the other hand, Tanzong was still in shock, so Chiu Tianwei's earlier obstruction was not out of cowardice, but because this sly old fox really sensed the danger. Shenlang, to get rid of us, you've gone to great lengths, truly ruthless. Suddenly, a mouthful of cold, salty seawater woke Tanzong up. I can't die here. I have to return to the Tang family alive. Only by surviving can I seek revenge. With that thought, he dived underwater, quickly shedding his armor to lighten himself and prevent sinking. Using his inner strength, he leapt from the water, grabbing onto the cliff's edges to climb rapidly. Tanzong's martial skills were superior, but his agile movements also drew the shooter's attention from above, and dozens of arrows and stones were hurled at him. Even though Tanzong was battered and bruised, he refused to give up, driven by a deep-seated hatred. Finally, he reached the edge of the mine entrance, only to find the mythical turtle count waiting for him with a sword, signaling the end of his hope. He had forgotten about the thousands of enemies above. Once pulled up, he knelt before the mythical turtle count, begging for mercy. The mythical turtle count signaled Jin Zhong, who restrained Tanzong from behind. The next second, the mythical turtle count disabled Tanzong's martial arts. Jin Zhong then inflicted severe pain by twisting something in Tanzong's mouth, followed by stuffing his mouth with sand to staunch the bleeding, preventing him from dying of blood loss. This act was specially left for Shenlang by Jin Zhong, although young Master Shen hadn't specified keeping Tanzong alive. Given Shenlang's character, sparing him might prove useful. Meanwhile, as the water level in the mine continued to rise, Chiu Tianwei seemed to sense hope for a counterattack. He then turned around and loudly reassured his forces, all pirates, stop wasting your energy. As long as the water keeps pouring in, we'll soon float up. Hearing this, all the pirates also realized, right, we're pirates. How could we possibly be afraid of drowning? Shenlang is truly foolish to think he could drown us with seawater. However, amidst their schadenfreude and laughter, a thunderous noise sounded, and the next second, the flow of water from the exit gradually ceased. Seeing the water level no longer rising, the pirates who were just mocking now looked stunned. Did that explosion just now block the water outlet? After a while, one of the pirates came to his senses and began cursing upwards. Shenlang, damn your mother, damn your mother. Chiu Tianwei was also stunned. The questioning voices of his subordinates continuously reached his ears. Boss, we may not drown, but if we keep soaking in such cold weather, we won't drown, but will freeze to death. This comment also awakened Chiu Tianwei. Right, we can't keep soaking here. Since we're facing death either way, we might as well go all out. Thinking this, Chiu Tianwei turned around and roared, everyone, cover me. Those with the highest combat abilities, follow me and climb up. We'll carve a bloody path. Following his shout, Chiu Tianwei was the first to leap onto the rock wall, leading the climb upward. Seeing this, the mythical turtle count immediately ordered his men to shoot arrows and throw stones at them. As the experts around around Qiu Tianwei were picked off one by one. Fear appeared on his face for the first time. Damn, at this rate, we might all be killed before we even reach the top. Embracing a do-or-die attitude, Qiu Tianwei shouted, "All pirates, listen up. Our way out is right in front of us. Let's all charge together and annihilate the Jin family." Under Qiu Tianwei's command, 30,000 pirates, densely packed like countless ants, frantically climbed up the rock wall. This shocking sight made the Jin soldiers above feel a tingling sensation on their scalps. As more and more pirates climbed up, the Jin archers began struggling to keep up with their rate of arrow fire. Seeing this, everyone simply started to hurl stones down. With the fall of large rocks, countless pirates screamed in pain, some even being smashed to pieces, but they continued to desperately climb. As a portion of the pirates nearly made it up, a few new soldiers started to falter. Jin Zhong approached the mythical turtle count and said, "Master, the sulfuric acid is ready." Without hesitation, the mythical turtle count ordered, "Pour." As the command was given, all Jin soldiers lifted jugs of concentrated sulfuric acid and poured them down the rock wall. The pirates at the forefront, upon contact with the sulfuric acid, experienced their skin being instantly corroded, accompanied by burning pain and the pungent smell of decaying flesh, causing them to involuntarily let go. The pirates who had barely made it up fell back down. Seeing this, Qiu Tianwei shouted in desperation, "Don't come down, keep climbing, everyone keep climbing." However, climbing a wall soaked in sulfuric acid was something only a fool would do, and the burned pirates began jumping down, preferring the risk of freezing in the seawater over continuing to climb. With the wall of sulfuric acid above and the chilling seawater below, the pirates were in agony, some even begging for the mythical turtle count's mercy to save their lives. The Jin warriors, witnessing this dreadful scene, began to waver internally. Are we being too cruel? Seeing this, Jin Zhong roared, "Brothers, are you sympathizing with them? But what about the children they've killed, the innocent women they've violated? Who sympathizes with them? These pirates have committed countless atrocities and are worse than beasts. They don't deserve sympathy. They are more than deserving of death. Understand?" Then, the mythical turtle count stepped forward. "You don't need to blame yourselves. By killing these pirates today, countless families will be spared from disaster. Eliminating these scum is carrying out justice on behalf of heaven. It's a virtuous deed. Continue firing arrows and throwing stones." This time, the soldiers held no reservations. Huge rocks, filled with the soldiers' seething hatred, rained down like a storm. As time passed, soon there was no movement below. Those pirates who hadn't been killed by the rocks succumbed to exhaustion and froze to death in the seawater. Thus, the combined 30,000 forces of Qiu Tianwei and the Tang family were completely annihilated. Qiu Tianwei, who had been hiding in a crevice of the rock wall, felt his scalp tingle witnessing this scene. Enveloped by the stench of death, his heart sank into unprecedented despair. "I am the great pirate king, the overlord of the eastern seas. Yet now, my entire force has been eradicated by that vermin Shenlang. It's all over. I've lost everything." Suddenly, Qiu Tianwei saw a stream of yellow liquid from above, followed by Jin Zhong's voice. "These pirates committed countless evils in life. Their souls are filthy. Let's all pour some yellow soup on them for purification, to ease their passage." Upon hearing this, all Jin soldiers burst into laughter and followed Jin Zhong's lead, adding their own yellow soup to the sea of corpses as a final send-off for the pirates. The mythical turtle count stared at Jin Zhong, thinking, this man has always been reserved and proper. How has he become so bold today? Little did he know, Jin Zhong was also conflicted. This task was secretly assigned by young Master Shen. "I wanted to refuse, but I just didn't have the courage." Unable to bear seeing his pirates further humiliated, Qiu Tianwei shouted, "Mythical turtle count, why doesn't that vermin Shenlang show himself?" The mythical turtle count didn't hide the truth and approached to inform him. Shenlang has already led his elite troops to attack Furious Tide City. Hearing this, Qiu Tianwei laughed as if he'd heard the greatest joke. "Do you know, Furious Tide City is currently guarded by my adopted daughter, Qiu Yaoer. Not even gods could breach it, let alone that pretty boy Shenlang. You're utterly delusional." The mythical turtle count didn't respond. He was well aware of Qiu Yaoer's capabilities, but trusted that if Shenlang was confident, his son-in-law would surely capture Furious Tide City. Then, Qiu Tianwei continued to ask, "Mythical turtle count, tell me, is this ancient gold vein real or fake?" "Of course, it's fake." The mythical turtle count revealed the truth to Qiu Tianwei now that everything had come to light. These gold blocks and sands were forged from 400,000 gold coins and 100,000 brass coins, all to lure you into the trap. Hearing this, Qiu Tianwei roared, almost breaking down, "Where did you get all these gold coins? This is all Shenlang's conspiracy, isn't it?" The mythical turtle count didn't answer directly but coldly asked, "Qiu Tianwei, do you remember the battle between my father and your Qiu clan 20 years ago? Why did my Jin family get completely annihilated?" Hearing this, Qiu Tianwei laughed and said, "That's because the Hidden Origin Society had already betrayed you. Even your ally, the Martial Peace Count Shua, sold your military plans to me and planted a large number of spies in your father's army. They destroyed your warships at a critical moment and led them into the trap I set at sea." Realizing something, Qiu Tianwei said, "All these experiences, isn't this the same time trap I set for Gene you count back in the day? My entire force is annihilated just like theirs was. Is this my retribution? No, I refuse to accept this. I won't resign myself to fate. Suddenly, Chiu Tianwei roared like a mad lion and, with a burst of strength, fiercely climbed up the cliff. Jin Zhua, if you are a man, face me in a one-on-one duel to the death. However, he was overthinking it. Several soldiers immediately grabbed jugs of sulfuric acid and poured them down in buckets. Chiu Tianwei was stunned for a moment, and before he could dodge, the acid had already been poured onto his face. Following Chiu Tianwei's curses and screams, several flaming arrows struck his body. The combination of the flesh-corroding acid and the arrows set him aflame, causing smoke to rise from his entire body. Yet, he still clung to the rock wall, refusing to let go. At that moment, the mythical turtle count personally dumped a basin of grease down. I, Jin Zhua, am honest but not stupid. You're already a dead man. Why would I need to duel you? Since you're so stubborn, I'll personally see you off. The moment the grease was poured, Chiu Tianwei instantly turned into a fireball and started burning. Holding onto his resentment and anger, he finally let go and fell into the sea of corpses. From that moment on, Chiu Tianwei could only lead his pirates in another world, continuing his reign as the pirate king. Afterwards, the mythical turtle count's gaze turned towards the distance. With the Chiu family's flag now fallen, Shenlang, how far has your battle for Furious Tide's city progressed?